On the eve of the college entrance exam, class beauty Xia Nua suddenly claimed she had found a surefire way to get into Harvard and Yale, saying that if you just fill your draft paper with the names of your dream schools in advance, your subconscious will automatically help you pass. Everyone, stop studying tonight, let's write Harvard Yale 1,000 times together. The whole class actually threw aside the practice exams and began copying. In my previous life, I urged them to at least review the wrong questions, but she said tearfully, "Chi Yen, you top student, do you think we don't deserve to dream?" I stayed up all night printing out key reminders and slipped them into each person's desk. The students glanced at them before the exam and managed to pick up quite a few points, but after Xia Nua didn't get the score she wanted, she claimed my materials disrupted her manifestation energy, and the classmates she stirred up came to settle the score with me. During the scuffle, I accidentally fell down the stairs. When I opened my eyes again, she was handing out draft paper again, saying, "The more you write, the stronger the universe's response." I picked up my pen, silently finishing the last 2 sets of multiple-choice questions. The next day, the math exam papers were handed back. The universe remained silent, but her derivative answered. Xia Nua's crisp and sweet voice echoed through the evening study hall. I snapped my eyes open, the piercing pain of a broken spine still lingering in my bones and blood. Cold sweat instantly soaked through my clothes, leaving my back icy cold. My vision gradually sharpened from blurriness, and the fluorescent lights on the classroom ceiling forced me to squint. On the blackboard, a huge countdown was written in red chalk. 1 day until the college entrance exam. I had truly been reborn, returning to the night before that absurdly ridiculous college entrance exam in my past life. At the podium, the class beauty Xia Nua was holding a large stack of blank draft paper, distributing them row by row like a charity fairy scattering wealth. Her face radiated an almost fervent, holy glow. "Everyone, listen to me. Rote memorization in the three-dimensional world is outdated. What matters now is the manifestation of energy from higher dimensions. As long as we write the names Harvard Yale 1,000 times before the exam, we can resonate at the same frequency with the magnetic fields of prestigious schools. Then, in the exam room, the universe will automatically project the correct answers into your minds." The students in the audience were already overwhelmed by pre-exam anxiety, but upon hearing about such an effortless shortcut to Harvard and Yale, many of their eyes lit up instantly. Gu Zicheng was the first to respond. He swept the 5 years of high school, 3 years of simulation, books off his desk into the drawer. "Xia Nua is right. I've long felt that grinding through practice problems is useless. Mindset and energy are what truly matter. Everyone, grab your pens and place orders with the universe along with Nuonuo." The classroom immediately erupted in a chorus of agreement. The originally tense review atmosphere vanished completely, as everyone frantically scribbled Harvard University and Yale University on their scratch paper. Xia Nua handed out paper until she reached my desk. She slapped a thick stack of scratch paper onto my math practice test. "Chi Yen, stop doing problems too. Your current frequency is too low, filled with anxiety and a sense of lack. Hurry up and write with me to raise your vibrational frequency." I stared coldly at her face, painted with that faux natural makeup, a wave of nausea rising in my stomach. In my past life, it was on this very night, as the class monitor, I couldn't bear to watch everyone give up reviewing at the last moment. I earnestly urged them, even begging them to just glance at their error notebooks, and stayed up all night organizing core exam points to send to them. And the result, after the college entrance exam scores came out, Xia Nua, having not improved by even a single point and failing to get into any vocational school, dumped all her resentment on me. She accused me of distributing review materials contaminated with secular low-frequency energy, which destroyed her carefully constructed manifestation magnetic field. Gu Zicheng led the entire class to block me at the stairwell. They pushed and shoved as I tumbled down dozens of steps, snapping my spine, dying on the spot, and they simply stepped over my corpse, celebrating the removal of the low-frequency tumor from the class. Reborn into this life, I will never again be the naive do-gooder who tries to save everyone. Expressionless, I pushed that stack of scratch paper off my test sheet. "Take it away, don't block my problem solving." Xia Nua's smile froze on her face, and her eyes instantly reddened. She bit her lower lip in grievance, her voice trembling with tears. "Chi Yen, what do you mean by this? I kindly shared the secrets of the universe with you, but you, the top student, think that ordinary people like us don't even deserve to dream." Her words immediately struck a nerve with the other classmates. Gu Zicheng abruptly stood up, strode over to my desk, and knocked on it hard. Qi Yan, who do you think you are, acting all high and mighty? Just because you usually do well on exams doesn't mean you can look down on others. Nua is trying to help everyone boost their energy, even if you don't believe it. There's no need to ruin the class's collective vibe with that sarcastic attitude. I looked up, my gaze calmly sweeping across Gu Zicheng's angry face. I'm ruining your vibe. I'm just doing my own test paper. I didn't say a word, nor did I stop you from placing orders with the universe. It's your freedom to place orders with the universe. And it's my freedom to rely on my own brain to solve problems. What is your universe so fragile that even me doing a couple of math problems can cut off its signal? The few classmates around me looked displeased. Xia Nua, however, seemed to have suffered a great injustice, tears streaming down her face. Qi Yan, you don't understand. Manifestation requires absolute purity of belief, the negative energy of disbelief. Your radiating in this space will suck away everyone's manifestation results like a black hole. If you insist on doing practice problems, could you please go outside? Don't drag everyone down and stop us from getting into Harvard or Yale. I was almost amused by this anti-intellectual logic. They were occupying the classroom without studying, yet trying to drive away those who actually wanted to learn. Twirling the gel pen in my hand, I said in the coldest tone possible, "Fine, since your energy field is so advanced, I wish you all the best tomorrow in the exam hall. May the universe hold your hands and write the answers for you, but just a friendly reminder, tomorrow morning is Chinese. And the afternoon is math. You'd better hope the universe understands calculus." With that, I couldn't be bothered to look at them again. I put on my noise-canceling headphones, lowered my head, and continued working through the last two sets of math multiple-choice questions. Gu Zicheng was still grumbling nearby, but seeing that I completely ignored him, he could only slink back to his seat in frustration. Soon, the classroom was filled only with the rustling sound of pens scratching across paper. 1,000 repetitions of Harvard-Yale left their wrists sore and their foreheads sweaty. Meanwhile, accompanied by the white noise in my headphones, I reviewed the core pitfalls of derivatives and conic sections one more time. When the bell signaling the end of evening self-study rang, Xia Nua reverently gathered everyone's draft papers. "Don't worry, everyone. I've already packaged and sent our orders to the higher dimensional space. Tonight, don't think about anything, just get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow, go straight to the exam hall and receive the miracle." The students cheered and celebrated, as if they had already received their admission letters. I packed my school bag and walked past Xia Nua without even casting a sidelong glance at her. Tomorrow, the real show was just beginning. The next morning, I had barely taken my place at the cordon outside the exam hall when Gu Zicheng's irritating voice reached me. He was shielding Xia Nua, followed by a few classmates from our class, each clutching a talisman draft paper covered in Harvard-Yale scribbles. Xia Nua was wearing a white dress today, as if she truly saw herself as some kind of sacred priestess. She looked at the ancient poetry memorization booklet in my hand, a hint of pity in her eyes. "Qi Yan, you're still looking at these three-dimensional world things. Actually, if you had been willing to write with us last night, your energy state would be much better now, but it's okay, I've already silently prayed for you in my heart, hoping the universe can forgive your arrogance." I watched her coldly, putting on that sanctimonious, pitiful act, a mocking smirk curling at the corner of my lips. "Xia Nua, you show up for the exam without your admission ticket and ID, just carrying a crumpled piece of paper like that. Are you expecting the proctor to scan you in with cosmic rays?" Xia Nua's face stiffened as she instinctively patted her empty pockets. Gu Zicheng quickly pulled her documents from his own transparent file bag and handed them over, then turned to glare at me. "Qi Yan, shut up. Nua's admission ticket is with me for safekeeping, to prevent it from getting lost. Don't you dare use your mundane, narrow-minded logic to undermine Nua's confidence." I shrugged indifferently, tucking the booklet into my bag. "Suit yourselves. Just don't start making weird noises in the exam hall from receiving cosmic signals, or you'll get flagged for cheating." The broadcast announced the signal to enter the venue. Without sparing another glance at these lunatics lost in their collective delusion, I turned and calmly walked through the security checkpoint. The morning Chinese exam went by without much incident, but the afternoon math exam was the true test of universal energy. The moment the math exam papers were handed out, a collective gasp echoed through the entire exam hall. This year's math was hellishly difficult, especially the last two big questions. One was an extremely complex problem involving conic sections, and the other was a derivative problem requiring the use of Taylor expansion. I took a deep breath to steady my nerves. I had just reviewed similar problem-solving approaches in the last 2 practice exams last night. Without any hesitation, my pen glided smoothly across the answer sheet, with rigorous steps and clear logic. Gu Zicheng, sitting diagonally in front of me, was in a completely different state. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him sweating profusely as he stared at the exam paper, his pen drawing meaningless circles on the scratch paper. He seemed to be trying hard to close his eyes and establish a connection with some so-called higher dimensional space, but the universe, unfortunately, did not send him any problem-solving steps. He tugged at his hair anxiously and even started writing, Harvard University. In the blank spaces of the paper, the 2-hour exam soon came to an end. When the bell rang to submit the papers, I noticed that the big questions on Gu Zicheng's answer sheet were almost entirely blank. Walking out of the exam hall, the air seemed to freeze. Countless examinees had red-rimmed eyes, and some were even sobbing in each other's arms. Our class's gathering spot was shrouded in gloom. Several girls, usually average performers, were crying uncontrollably around Xianhua. Noa, what happened? I couldn't answer a single major question, and I had to guess all the multiple-choice questions. Why didn't the universe give me any hints? I wrote it 1,000 times last night. Xianhua's face was pale at this moment, but she still maintained that sanctimonious demeanor. She took a deep breath, then suddenly turned her gaze to me, who had just walked over. Everyone, don't panic. The universe's laws are never wrong. The reason this happened is because our class's energy field has been disrupted. She pointed her finger directly at me. Last night, I said that Qi Yan's low-frequency energy would suck away our manifestations like a black hole. Today, outside the exam hall, she attacked me with such malicious language, causing our collective frequency to plummet to rock bottom. It's Qi Yan who blocked the universe's signals to us. Gu Zicheng immediately found an outlet for his emotions and rushed up to me. Qi Yan, what are you really up to? Did you deliberately provoke Noa just to ruin everyone's college entrance exam, you selfish and petty person? Since you couldn't do well yourself, you want to drag the whole class down with you. Looking at these fools blaming their own incompetence on the occult, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Gu Zicheng, are you missing a brain stem? The exam questions were set nationally, and the derivative problem was created by the test writers. You people never put in the effort, couldn't even memorize formulas before the exam. And now you're blaming me for disrupting your signals. I stepped forward, my gaze piercing Xianhua, since your universe is so powerful, how about you solve the second part of the last derivative problem right now in front of everyone? If you can write down the first step of the derivative formula, I'll admit I disrupted your energy field. Xianhua stumbled back a step, a flicker of panic in her eyes. You're judging a higher dimensional intelligence by the standards of a 3-dimensional world. The universe's answer isn't some specific number. It's a spiritual guidance. I let out a cold laugh, ruthlessly tearing through her lie. Spiritual guidance, so when the exam grader reviews your paper, do they have to take a ritual bath, light incense, and meditate first before they can sense your ethereal existence of an answer? It must be because Qi Yan didn't study with us last night, leaving a gap in the class's energy field. Xianhua clung desperately to her excuse, trying to drown out the unease in her heart with louder words. Though the classmates around us were still crying, their gazes toward me now carried a faint trace of resentment. In their impoverished understanding, admitting their own laziness and stupidity was far more painful than pinning the blame on a sinner who disrupted the energy field. Gu Zicheng clenched his fists so tightly it seemed he might charge at me any second. Qi Yan, don't get too cocky. Math is hard for everyone. Maybe the passing score will drop really low. As long as we can stabilize our frequency in the next science and English exams, the universe will definitely make up for the points we lost. Apologize to Nuo right now, and repent your lowly behavior before the cosmos. I watched Gu Zicheng, completely consumed by his delusions, and felt nothing but profound sorrow. In my past life, I gave my life trying to save these incorrigible people. In this life, I just want to watch them drown in the illusions they've woven for themselves. Apologize, dream on. I coldly dropped these words, turned around, and walked out of the school gate, refusing to waste even one more glance on them. Over the next 2 days of exams, the atmosphere in the entire class became eerily strange. They no longer discussed the exam subjects but instead completely turned into fanatical followers of Xianhua. Before the comprehensive science exam, Xianhua had everyone draw so-called wealth and wisdom manifestation runes on their wrists. Before the English exam, She gathered everyone to meditate by the flower beds outside the exam hall, calling it a pre-exam energy cleansing. Watching them from a distance, chanting like cult members, I felt nothing at all, almost tempted to laugh. Before the English listening test started, I even saw Gu Zicheng clasp his hands and bow twice toward the podium. The 2 days of college entrance exams finally ended. There was no frenzy of tearing up books, no shouts of liberation. The class group chat fell eerily silent. By the evening of the 3rd day, Xianhua sent a long voice message in the group, "Family, after these days of intense manifestation, I have fully connected with the higher dimensional space. Although the exam process had some twists and turns, the universe told me that our orders have been placed. Please maintain a high-frequency mindset, don't check answers, don't estimate scores. Those are all anxiety traps of the three-dimensional world. As long as we firmly believe we can get into Harvard or Yale, the acceptance letters will definitely arrive in our hands." The group instantly exploded. It was as if the classmates had grabbed their last lifeline, frantically flooding the chat. "Thank the universe, thank you, Nuo. I can already feel Harvard's gates waving at me." Exactly, absolutely no checking answers. We must hold on to the purest sense of belief. Gu Zicheng even directly tagged me in the group. "Qi Yan, you're just a rote learning exam machine who will never understand the wonder of higher dimensional wisdom. When the admission results come out, don't come crying to Nuo asking her to teach you manifestation." I stared at the idiotic comments on my phone screen and casually muted the group chat. These people had completely lost their minds, numbing themselves with false beliefs in a desperate attempt to escape the harsh reality ahead. Over the next half-month, I followed my routine, resting, reading, and researching college applications. Meanwhile, Xianhua led a group of classmates in posting manifestation diaries on their social media. One day, a photo of meditating in a cafe with the caption, "A day in sync with the universe." The next, a picture of a Harvard emblem they bought, captioned, "Getting a feel for my alma mater's energy." Some parents even got swept up in it, genuinely believing their kids had found some kind of mentor, bragging to everyone they met that their children were guaranteed to get into Harvard or Yale. Days passed, and finally, the day arrived when college entrance exam scores could be checked. An hour before the score-checking channel opened, the class group chat became lively again. Xianhua sent a group video call invitation, and surprisingly, over 20 people joined. I happened to be looking up information on my phone and accidentally clicked the answer button. On the screen, Xianhua was sitting on her bed covered in pink lace, her hands clasped together in front of her chest. "The score-checking channel is about to open. Everyone, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and get ready to receive the universe's gift." Gu Zicheng was so excited in the video that his face turned bright red. "Nuo, I'm ready." I just silently recited Harvard 100 more times. I watched coldly as this group of people in the video, eyes closed and muttering superstitiously, found it utterly ridiculous. Time ticked by, and at exactly 12 o'clock, the score-checking channel officially opened. I didn't leave the group chat but calmly opened the score-checking webpage on my computer, entered my admission ticket number, and typed in my password. After a few seconds of loading, my scores appeared on the screen: Chinese 135, Math 148, English 145, Science Comprehensive 297, a total of 725 points, the top science student in the province. I looked at this score, the corners of my mouth curling up slightly. This was the result of my days and nights spent solving problems, summarizing, and reviewing. It had nothing to do with so-called cosmic energy. At that moment, a sharp scream suddenly rang out from the group chat. In the video, Xianhua's theatrical prayer had barely faded when a piercing shriek cut through everyone's eardrums. It was a girl whose grades were usually in the middle to lower range of the class. She stared at the screen, her eyes nearly bulging out. "How is this possible? How can I only have 180 points? I only got 40 points on my science comprehensive exam. Didn't the universe say it would give me answers?" That scream was like the first domino to fall. In the video, one hysterical cry followed another. "I have 215 points. I didn't even pass the vocational college cutoff. I only scored 15 points in math, and that was just by guessing all CS on the multiple choice questions." Nuo, didn't you say we were all guaranteed to get into Harvard and Yale? Why is this happening?" On the screen, Gu Zicheng's face was as pale as paper, his hands trembling. He kept refreshing the page, muttering under his breath, "Impossible. The system is glitched. It must be glitched. How could I only score 250 points, as the central figure of this farce?" Shano was staring at her computer screen as if her soul had been drained, her face, meticulously made up, twisted in anguish, and her lips trembled for a long time before she managed to squeeze out a sound. 210 points, my manifestation, my cosmic energy. The entire group chat instantly turned into a large-scale disaster scene, with cries, curses, and doubts interweaving. Just then, someone in the group sent a screenshot. It was the honor roll of the top 10 candidates in the provincial college entrance exam. My name stood prominently at the top. Chi Yen, total score 725, the top science student in the province. The sobbing in the video paused eerily for a moment, and everyone's eyes fixed on me through the screen. Shano's eyes suddenly lit up with a frantic desperation, like a drowning person grasping at a lifeline. She pointed at me on the screen and shrieked hysterically, "It's him! Chi Yen stole our class's scores." I knew the universe couldn't be wrong. Our collective manifestation energy was so strong. How could we score this low? It must be Chi Yen, using those dark, low-frequency methods to hijack our group's magnetic field. That 725 points of his originally belonged to me, to all of us. This completely illogical, insane rant has now become the only face-saving excuse for these losers. Gu Zicheng slammed the table, his eyes bloodshot. That's right. Although Chi Yen usually has good grades, there's no way he could score a ridiculous 725. He stayed in the classroom before the exam, secretly absorbing our energy. Chi Yen, you shameless vampire, give us back our scores. Sitting in front of the computer, watching these people lash out like mad dogs, I couldn't help but applaud. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You've got nothing but water in your heads, and when you mess up your exams, you claim others stole your grades. Xia Noa, with your 210 points. I bet 200 of them are pity points. With IQs like yours, can't even memorize basic formulas. You think you can get into Harvard or Yale? Even the security guards at Harvard and Yale solve problems faster than you. My words cut through their last illusions like a sharp knife. Xia Noa suddenly hung up the video call. Within 10 minutes, my phone started blowing up with notifications. Xia Noa had gone live on a popular short video platform with a ridiculously sensational title, Higher Dimensional Manifestation Stolen. The provincial science top scorer is a vampire stealing the whole class's energy. I clicked into the live stream and saw Xianhua crying like a pear blossom in the rain, tearfully accusing to the netizens, "Family, I'm so desperate." Our whole class, through the high-dimensional manifestation law, had successfully connected to the magnetic field of Harvard and Yale, but Chi Yen from our class, in order to become the top scorer herself, deliberately spread anxiety before the exam. Using extremely vile low-frequency energy to destroy our formation, she even used some unspeakable means to transfer all the scores the universe bestowed upon us to herself alone. She ruined the futures of our entire class. She not only stole our scores but also stole our lives. In the live stream, Gu Zicheng and other classmates appeared in the comments to testify. "I'm the sports rep, I swear." Chi Yen deliberately refused to pray with us before the exam, secretly absorbing energy. She's caused our whole class to only be able to attend vocational colleges. She must give up the top scorer position. Chi Yen, come out and apologize. Return the scores to Nuonuo. In the internet age, this campus bullying and life-stealing drama wrapped in mystical guise instantly ignited netizens' curiosity and anger. The livestream's viewer count skyrocketed from a few hundred to tens of thousands. Netizens, unaware of the truth, were blinded by Xianua's tears and the classmates' uniform accusations. Oh my God, how can there be such a malicious person in this world? It sounds a bit far-fetched, but the whole class failed while she alone got top scores. That's really suspicious, isn't it? Investigate this. Chi Yen, maybe she has some connections at home and bribed the grading system. Boycott this top scorer who stole others' lives. Harvard and Yale, don't admit her. Watching the screen full of insults and curses in the live stream, I didn't get angry. Instead, I let out a cold laugh. Make a scene. The bigger the better. Last time, you drove me to death in that dark hallway. This time, I'll make you fully reveal your true colors under the spotlight of the entire internet. Chi Yen, open the door right now. You stole Noa's life. You have to answer for it today. The morning after the live stream ended, my front door was pounded with a thunderous racket. Standing in front of the surveillance screen on the second floor, I looked at the crowd gathering outside, Gu Zicheng leading the pack, with Xia Nua and over a dozen classmates who had bombed the exams following behind, along with a few so-called righteous influencers holding up their phones, already streaming live. Xia Nua hid behind Gu Zicheng, her face pale and swaying as if a gust of wind could blow her over. Qi Yan, I know you're in there, Gu Zicheng shouted through a megaphone at my door, his voice frantic. You've seen the online backlash. Now the whole country knows you're a thief who stole someone else's opportunities. If you have an ounce of conscience, come out right now. Kneel and apologize to Nua Nua, and then voluntarily ask the education board to give up your college entrance exam results. Hand back the Harvard and Yale slots to Nua Nua. Listening to this stunningly moronic speech, which could be considered a medical miracle, I was utterly astounded. Give up my results and hand over the slots to a waste who scored 210 points, and he could shout such nonsense with a straight face. It seemed the universe had indeed manifested his brain away. The crowd outside the door, seeing no movement from inside, began to escalate their insults. Qi Yan, you coward, come out. You scum who got the top scholar title by sucking others' blood don't deserve to live in this world. Several influencers were passionately speaking to the camera. Family, did you see that? This is the home of that vicious female top scholar, living in such a luxurious villa, yet with such a venomous heart. Today, we will act on behalf of heaven and seek justice for Nua Nua. Just as Gu Zicheng was about to find something to smash my front door, click, the ornate iron gate slowly opened to both sides. The crowd fell silent for a second, then surged forward even more excitedly, but the one who walked out was not me, but my parents, followed by 4 tall, imposing bodyguards in black. My father, Qi Zhengyan, is a senior partner at a renowned law firm. My mother, Lin Wan, is a decisive and formidable businesswoman. They are usually busy with work, but that doesn't mean they will allow others to bully their daughter. My father, with a cold face and a gaze as sharp as a knife, swept his eyes over the rabble outside the door. Who gave you the nerve to gather at my doorstep and cause trouble? Gu Zicheng was momentarily intimidated by my father's presence, but soon stiffened his neck and shouted, You're Qi Yan's father, right? Your daughter used sorcery to steal our entire class's college entrance exam scores. We're here to seek justice. You'd better have her come out, or we're not leaving. My mother let out a cold laugh, crossed her arms, and shot a look of utmost disdain. Stealing grades, you bunch of dropouts from 9 years of compulsory education, stuffing your heads with nothing but tofu dregs. You can't score well, so you come here to throw a tantrum. My daughter has won more Olympiad gold medals than the number of books you've read. Why would she need to steal your pitiful double-digit scores? Seeing this, Xia Nua immediately stepped forward with red-rimmed eyes, her voice so frail it seemed like it could drip with water. Uncle and auntie, I know you care about Qi Yan, but the law of manifestation is real. It's a higher dimensional force. Qi Yan did disrupt our energy field before the exam, causing a deviation in the universe's signals. I'm not asking for money, I just want her to admit her mistake and give back the Harvard and Yale spots that rightfully belong to me. That's not too much to ask, is it? My father chuckled in exasperation, pushing up his gold-rimmed glasses. Young lady, I've been a lawyer for over 20 years, I've seen people rob for money, snatch for valuables, but I've never seen anyone steal college entrance exam scores. You say my daughter disrupted your energy field. What's your evidence? Without it, your actions here right now constitute provocation and defamation. Seeing this, a few internet influencers immediately aimed their cameras at my father. Look, everyone, this is the face of the capitalist class. Bullying an ordinary student just because they have money and power. They're trying to drive Nuo to the edge. Just as the atmosphere outside the door was about to spiral out of control, and Gu Zicheng was even ready to lead a charge, I stepped out of the villa slowly, dressed in comfortable loungewear, holding a glass of warm milk in my hand. Dad, Mom, why waste words on these creatures who haven't even fully evolved from Homo sapiens? I walked behind the bodyguard, my gaze piercing through the crowd, landing precisely on Xia Nua's pitiful face. Xia Nua, you wanted evidence, didn't you? Coincidentally, I happen to have a top-secret video here showing exactly how you manifest from a higher dimension. I wonder if you and your followers are ready to become famous nationwide. You think you can clear yourself with some fake video. The laws of the universe don't lie. A flicker of extreme, hidden panic passed through Xia Nua's eyes, but she quickly forced herself to straighten her back and feign composure. In her mind, that night everyone was frantically writing names, and no one had taken out their phone to record anything. Gu Zicheng, like a loyal guard dog, stepped in front of Xia Nua, pointing at my nose and shouting, Qi Yan, stop bluffing here. Even if you fake a video, it won't work. The masses have sharp eyes. you have to give Nua an explanation today. I watched them, refusing to shed a tear until they saw the coffin, and the smile on my lips deepened. Fine. Since you're all so eager to go viral, I'll grant your wish. I took out my phone and calmly pressed the send button. I've already uploaded the video simultaneously to all major social platforms and paid for a top trending spot. Everyone, you can now open your phones and take a good look at your higher dimensional wisdom. The crowd outside exchanged bewildered glances. A few influencers were the first to react, immediately lowering their heads to frantically refresh their phones. Within less than a minute, a shocked exclamation of "Holy crap!" rang out from the crowd. The video footage was extremely clear, and the audio was flawless. This was a micro high-definition camera I had bought at great expense in this life after dying in the previous one, disguised as a hair clip and worn on my head to record everything. The video began with Nua standing on the podium, like a cult leader, spouting those mind-boggling remarks. "Listen to me. Rote memorization in the three-dimensional world is outdated. Just write Harvard, Yale 1,000 times, and your subconscious will automatically help you get in." Then came Gu Zicheng sweeping review materials off the desk and leading the revelry. I've long felt that doing practice problems is useless. Mindset and energy are what truly matter. In the footage, the entire class, as if possessed, frantically scribbled school names on scratch paper, while the countdown on the blackboard reading "one day until the college entrance exam" was glaringly ironic. The latter half of the video showed Nua forcing me to stop studying, accusing me of polluting everyone with low-frequency energy, and my cold rebuttal as I put on headphones to work on calculus problems. The entire video was unedited, faithfully recreating the absurd classroom on the eve of the college entrance exam. The air outside the door seemed to be sucked dry, plunging into a deathly silence. The influencers who had been shouting just moments ago now stared at their phone screens, their faces alternating between pale and flushed, silently shifting their live stream cameras from my front door to the ground. Online public opinion took a nuclear-level reversal within just 10 minutes of the video's release. What the hell? I'm stunned. Is this a 21st century exam prep class or a White Lotus sect from the Qing dynasty? What the heck is higher dimensional manifestation and universe order? Did these people donate their brains to the universe? I'm dying of laughter, skipping review to draw talismans on paper before the exam, then blaming diligent students for disrupting the energy field when they fail. This is the best magical comedy of the year. That girl Nua is absolutely something, scoring 210 points, yet shamelessly claiming the 725-point top scorer stole her grades. How is she so confidently unreasonable? That guy Gu Zicheng is a pure, brainless simp. He simped so hard he even lost his brain stem, right? Qi Yen is too pitiful, stuck in a class with these idiots. Thank goodness she wasn't corrupted. Barrage comments and replies flooded in like snowflakes, and nationwide mockery and abuse instantly engulfed Nua and Gu Zicheng. Nua stared at the scathing comments on her phone, as if struck by lightning, the carefully crafted personas of victim and higher dimensional fairy she had painstakingly built shattered into dust in the face of irrefutable evidence. No, this can't be real. Shivering all over, she suddenly looked up, her reddened eyes fixed on me. "Qi Yen, you recorded this secretly. That's an invasion of privacy. I'm going to sue you." My dad stepped forward, staring coldly at her. A public classroom is not an absolutely private space. Besides, my daughter recorded the video to preserve evidence of your provocation, which is completely legal and compliant. As for you, you openly slandered and defamed my daughter online, incited cyberbullying, and even gathered at our doorstep to harass us today. I've already asked my assistant to call the police, and they'll be here soon. Save your energy to explain your cosmic energy to the police. Hearing the word police, the classmates who had been so aggressive moments ago instantly panicked. It's none of my business. Nua made us do this. Yeah, she was the one who insisted Qi Yen stole our scores, so we just followed along. Several students immediately turned on her, trying to distance themselves. Gu Zicheng looked at the crumbling Nua, then at the classmates who had switched sides, still stubbornly refusing to back down. "Qi Yen, even if Nua's method didn't work, as the class monitor, why didn't you stop us? You knew full well that approach wouldn't get us into college, yet you watched us walk into a trap. You're utterly heartless." I looked at Gu Zicheng like he was a hopeless piece of trash. "Didn't I stop you, in the video, when I advised you to practice problems? Who called me low frequency? Who said I was polluting your magnetic field?" Gu Zicheng, Never try to wake someone who's pretending to sleep, especially a brain-dead fool who worships stupidity as a belief. The wail of police sirens grew closer and closer, stopping right outside my house. Impossible, Chi Yen must have bought off online trolls. My manifestation principle is higher dimensional wisdom. Watching the police officers step out of the car, Xia Nua completely lost it, screaming on the spot like a madwoman. The leading officer frowned as he looked at the group of students and influencers in bizarre outfits holding up banners, who called the police. What's going on here? My father stepped forward, handed over his business card, and calmly explained the situation, submitting screenshots of the online slander and the surveillance footage from earlier. After listening, the police looked at Xia Nua and her group as if they were a bunch of lunatics. Higher dimensional manifestation, stealing college entrance exam scores. Have you been reading too many fantasy novels, all of you? Back to the station for questioning, gathering to cause trouble and spreading rumors online. That's enough to give you a hard time. The moment the police handcuffed Xia Nua, she finally realized the gravity of the situation. Her legs gave way, and she collapsed to the ground, crying and begging me for mercy. Chi Yen, I was wrong. I shouldn't have spouted nonsense online. Can you ask your dad to drop the charges? If I get a criminal record, my life will be ruined. I looked down at her from above, my eyes devoid of any warmth. What does it matter to me whether you ruin your life or not? Didn't the universe teach you that you have to pay the price for your wrongdoings? The police mercilessly loaded them all onto the police car. This farce ended in an extremely absurd manner, but the aftermath had only just begun. The situation spread too quickly online, even alarming the Provincial Department of Education. Our school principal was summoned to a meeting late that night, enduring a torrent of scolding. After all, a science class at a key high school had indulged in such feudalistic and superstitious cult-like activities on the eve of the college entrance exams, leaving almost the entire class, except for me, crushed. It was nothing short of a disgrace to the education system. The next day, the principal personally brought the homeroom teacher to my doorstep to apologize. Oldly, our homeroom teacher, who was usually a kind-hearted soul, seemed to have aged 10 years overnight, his eyes reddening. Chi Yen, it was my failure. I failed to manage them properly. You've been wronged. I poured Oldly a cup of tea and said calmly, Teacherly, this isn't your fault. You were at the exam coordination meeting the night before last. Who could have guessed they'd go that crazy? The principal wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and assured me, Student Chi, rest assured, the school has already made a decision, for students like Xia Nua and Gu Zicheng, who took the lead in promoting feudal superstition and severely undermining academic discipline and exam integrity. We will directly expel them without leniency. As for the other participants, they will all receive a major demerit. I nodded, unsurprised by this outcome, but Xia Nua clearly wasn't ready to accept her fate. After being detained at the police station for a few days, her parents spent a hefty sum to bail her out. In an attempt to evade legal responsibility for defamation and to salvage the last shred of her dignity, Xia Nua's parents posted a psychiatric evaluation report online, claiming that she suffered from severe bipolar disorder and extreme delusions. They asserted that all her previous statements were unconscious actions during episodes of illness, and urged the public and Chi Yen to show tolerance for a poor, sick patient. This mental illness shield tactic has indeed disgusted quite a few people online. Some neutral observers began to advise me, forgive and forget. She's already this sick, just let it go. Chi Yen, it's not like you've suffered any real loss. Yeah, why bother arguing with a mentally ill person? It makes you, as the top scholar, look petty. I sneered as I read these comments. No real loss. In my past life, when I broke my spine and died miserably in the stairwell, why didn't they say I had suffered a loss? Trying to fake mental illness to escape punishment? Not a chance. I directly posted a statement on Weibo using my main account. First, since classmate Xia Nua suffers from severe delusional disorder, the authenticity of every exam she has taken at school is questionable. I have filed a real name report with the Education Bureau, requesting an investigation into academic fraud for all major exam results during her 3 years of high school. Second, given the severity of Xia Nua's condition and its strong potential for social harm, inciting online bullying and gathering crowds to cause trouble, I recommend that the relevant authorities immediately admit her to a mandatory psychiatric hospital to prevent her from relapsing and using high-dimensional energy to harm innocent citizens. Third, I will not accept any form of moral blackmail regarding the civil lawsuit for defamation and slander. my father's legal team has officially submitted the complaint to the court, see you in court." As soon as this statement was released, the entire internet erupted, netizens cheered in unison. "The top scholar is amazing. That's exactly how this kind of fake innocence should be dealt with." Mental illness, trying to fake an illness to avoid legal responsibility. Just lock them up in a mental hospital, investigate. They must thoroughly look into her past grades. Who knows, even her usual scores might have been fraudulently manifested through cheating. Xia Nua's parents were completely panicked upon seeing this statement. They had hoped to play the sympathy card with a mental illness excuse, but instead, I simply went along with it and pushed their precious daughter toward admission into a mental hospital. But what was even more devastating for them was yet to come. "Xia Nua, give me back my university, you liar, you've ruined me." With the school's expulsion notice issued and a wave of mockery sweeping across the internet, those classmates who once firmly believed in Shano finally woke up completely from the beautiful dream of high-dimensional manifestation. What followed was endless panic and extreme anger. Because of the record of picking quarrels and provoking trouble, along with the school's disciplinary punishment, no repeat school in the city was willing to accept them. Their college entrance exam scores were a complete mess, leaving them with almost no way out except working in a factory or attending a low-tier vocational college. In despair, this group shifted all their hatred onto Shano. That afternoon, I was sitting by the window in the city library reading a book when I suddenly received an anonymous video on my phone. In the video, Shano was cornered by more than a dozen former classmates in a remote alley. Without the sacred atmosphere she had before the exams, her hair was now disheveled, her clothes torn in several places, and she looked as pitiful as a cornered rat. "What do you want? Let me go," Shano screamed in terror. A girl rushed up and slapped her hard. "Let you go? You've ruined us so badly, and you still have the nerve to scream. Aren't you good at manifesting? Manifest a cop to save you now. Pay back my repeat school fees. Pay back my youth." The classmates swarmed in, punching and kicking Shano, venting all their anger at their own incompetence on this former goddess. I watched the video coldly, without calling the police or feeling any sympathy. This was the backlash of karma. They had sown the seeds of their own misfortune, and now they had to reap the consequences. Gu Zicheng's days were equally miserable. The Gu family ran a medium-sized building materials company in the local area. Ever since Gu Zicheng led an online witch hunt against me and got taken away by the police, the Gu family's company faced a nationwide boycott. More fatally, my mother had an extensive network in the business world. She merely mentioned the glorious deeds of the Gu family's young master at a few business cocktail parties, and those companies that had previously cooperated with the Gu family, seeking to avoid trouble, terminated their contracts on various pretexts. The capital chain snapped. Banks demanded repayment, and the Gu family's company was on the brink of bankruptcy. Liquidation within just half a month. Gu Zicheng's father, so enraged that his blood pressure skyrocketed, was hospitalized, and on his sickbed he beat Gu Zicheng half to death. That evening, as I just stepped out of the library, I saw Gu Zicheng crouching on the steps. His face was covered in stubble, his eyes bloodshot, completely devoid of the former unbridled arrogance. Seeing me come out, he lunged at me like I was his last lifeline, desperately trying to grab my clothes. "Qi Yan. Help me." I stepped back, avoiding his touch with a look of disgust. Gu Zicheng grabbed at air and fell to his knees, tears and snot streaming down his face. "Qi Yan, I know I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. It was that bitch Xia Noa who brainwashed me. I was bewitched into targeting you. Please, ask your mom to spare our company. My dad is still lying in the hospital, and our family is about to go bankrupt. If you just lift a finger to help, I'll be your lifelong slave. Do whatever you say." I looked down at this boy who once bossed me around, finding it utterly ridiculous. "Gu Zicheng, don't you still get it? Your family's bankruptcy is because your company's products were inherently flawed and couldn't stand market scrutiny. My mom just leaked a bit of your family's dirty secrets. Besides, weren't you a firm believer in cosmic energy?" I bent slightly, speaking the cruelest words in the gentlest tone. "You should go home right now and take out 10,000 sheets of scratch paper to write, 'My family will get rich.' If your frequency is high enough, the universe will surely send you money. Go for it. I believe in you." With that, I ignored Gu Zicheng, who was slumped on the ground wailing in despair, and walked straight toward the private car waiting by the roadside. For scum like him, I wouldn't even want to dirty my shoe by stepping on him. "Qi Yan, since I can't get into Harvard or Yale, don't think you'll walk in alive either." There was less than a week Left before the start of the university semester, the Municipal Education Bureau held a grand commendation ceremony, specifically to honor the city's top scorers in the college entrance exam and outstanding teachers. As the top science student in the entire province, I was naturally the center of attention. Dressed in an elegant gown, I stood under the spotlight, accepting the scholarship and certificate of honor personally presented by the mayor. The audience burst into thunderous applause, and countless cameras were aimed at me, capturing this moment of glory. Just as I finished my acceptance speech and was about to step down from the podium, something unexpected happened. A person wearing a janitor's uniform, a mask, and a peaked cap suddenly rushed out from the shadows on the side of the stage, moving at lightning speed. They clutched a glass bottle tightly in their hand, from which a pungent white smoke was rising. Concentrated sulfuric acid. Go to hell, you bitch who stole my life. The person pulled down the mask, revealing a face twisted by extreme madness. It was Xia Noa, who had disappeared for a long time. She had been injured in a group beating by classmates, and was also facing the massive reputation compensation lawsuit filed by my father. Her family had sold everything just to fill the hole she had created. Once the admired class beauty, she had now become a rat everyone wanted to beat down. Driven by extreme jealousy and despair, she had gone completely insane. She blamed all her misfortunes on me, on the fact that I hadn't manifested with her before the exam. She believed that if she destroyed me, the universe would return the luck that originally belonged to her. In my past life, she had pushed me into the abyss at the stairwell. This time, she still chose the stairs to try to kill me, but unfortunately, I'm no longer the naive good person who was caught off guard. Protect the miss. Just as Shano raised the bottle of sulfuric acid, ready to hurl it at my face, the 4 black-clad bodyguards who had been lying low beneath the stage shot up like lightning. One of them delivered a precise kick to Shano's wrist. Shano let out a piercing scream, and the glass bottle flew out of her hand, crashing onto the empty ground in the distance. The acrid sulfuric acid instantly burned a black, gaping hole in the red carpet. 2 other bodyguards roughly pressed Shano to the ground, twisting her arms behind her back. The auditorium fell into a brief silence, followed by an eruption of terrified screams. The mayor and officials were thoroughly frightened, and security guards and police quickly flooded the scene. I stood still on the stage, my breathing not even slightly disturbed. I looked down at Shano, who was pinned to the ground and still struggling wildly, my gaze as cold as if I were looking at a corpse. Shano, didn't your high-dimensional universe foresee in advance that I would bring bodyguards? Shano's face was pressed against the cold floor, her eyes bloodshot from the strain. She roared at me like a wild beast. Chi Yen, you'll die a miserable death. You stole my magnetic field, you stole my top scholar title. I'm a being from a higher dimension. How dare you low-frequency ants judge me? I let out a cold laugh and stepped down the stairs. Higher dimensional being, fine, then let the law decide how many years you, a higher dimensional entity, will serve for intentional injury in the 3-dimensional world. The police quickly approached and placed cold handcuffs on Ziano, because it was a public assault on the top scorer of the college entrance exam, using an extremely dangerous chemical substance like concentrated sulfuric acid. The nature of the case was exceptionally heinous. The case was promptly filed and widely reported by major media as a typical violent incident. This time, Ziano's parents could no longer use mental illness as a cover, because the day before the attack, she had already purchased the cleaning uniform used in the crime online and even meticulously planned an escape route in her diary. Such meticulous logic and clear murder motive directly shattered her lie of acting unconsciously. What awaited her was the most severe punishment under the law. Watching the police car whisk Ziano away with a screech, I let out a long sigh of relief. The vendetta from my previous life was finally, completely settled today. 1 month later, at the People's Court. Your Honor, I am not guilty. I am a being from a higher dimension. You low-frequency humans have no right to judge me. Xia Noa stood in the dock, still shouting her absurd manifestation theory at the top of her lungs, but at this moment, her hair was cropped extremely short. She wore a prison uniform, her face was sallow, and she no longer had the commanding air she once had in the classroom. Her parents sat in the gallery, having long since cried all their tears, looking as if they had aged 10 years. The judge, expressionless, struck the gavel. The defendant, Xia Noa, in disregard of national laws, used hazardous chemicals in a public place with the intent to harm others, causing a severe negative social impact. Although no substantive physical harm was inflicted on the victims, her subjective malicious intent was extreme, and the circumstances are serious. the verdict is as follows: the defendant, Xia Noa, is convicted of intentional injury, attempted, and sentenced to 7 years in prison. As that number echoed in the courtroom, Xia Noa finally ceased her frantic shouting, her legs gave way, and she collapsed to the floor, her gaze utterly vacant. 7 years. By the time she got out of prison, the youth she had been so proud of would have rotted away entirely behind iron bars. As for Gu Zicheng, who had once been utterly devoted to her, he didn't even show up in the audience today. It was said that after the Gu family went bankrupt, Gu Zicheng's father suffered a stroke due to the shock and became paralyzed. To pay off the debts, Gu Zicheng had to drop out of school and work as a laborer in a sweatshop. Now, he works more than 10 hours a day, earning a meager salary, struggling desperately in the mire of the bottom rung. As for those classmates who once followed Xia Noa in writing the school name and cyberbullying me online, some ended up at shady third-rate colleges in remote areas, idling away their days in smoke-filled dormitories. Others entered society early, and after being beaten down by life, finally understood the harshness of the three-dimensional world. Their lives had been ruined by their own hands that night before the college entrance exam, when they abandoned their review and tried to take a shortcut. Walking out of the courthouse, the early autumn sun was warm and bright. My parents stood at the bottom of the steps, smiling at me. "Chien, it's all over now. Are you ready to embrace your college life?" My mom stepped forward and tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. I nodded and pulled out the admission letter from my bag, its cover embossed with the gleaming gold characters of Harvard University. There is no such thing as manifestation, no ethereal universe order. These 4 words were written by me, stroke by stroke, with countless days and nights of sweat, with stacks of completed exam papers, and with solid, down-to-earth effort. "Dad, Mom, let's go." I linked my arm through theirs and strode confidently toward the sunlight. My future needs no charity from any higher dimension, because my life will always be in my own hands. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My daughter is a pathological liar. When she was little, she accidentally bumped her arm and claimed that her mother had pinched her, which made my mother-in-law furious with me. As she grew older, she often skipped classes and told her homeroom teacher that the home environment was too suffocating, that she had developed depression. Later, she started dating a delinquent at a young age. I followed her to the rooftop where the secret rendezvous took place, and during the altercation with the delinquent, I was pushed off the building. I died on the spot. My daughter's first reaction was to record a video, crying out, "Mom, why did you jump on your own?" When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the year my daughter was a high school senior. When she threatened suicide to elope with the delinquent, I swiftly packed her belongings and said, "Go ahead, my daughter. Mom supports your freedom to love. If you don't agree to my demands, I'll spill 3 feet of blood today and make you collect my corpse." The moment I opened my eyes, I saw my daughter holding a kitchen knife to her own throat, screaming at me hysterically, but I knew she had no real intention of suicide. This was just her way of forcing my compliance and extorting greater concessions from me. In my past life, I was so terrified I nearly lost my soul, almost kneeling to beg her not to do anything foolish. In the end, with tears in my eyes, I agreed to their relationship. To keep her from leaving home, I even promised to give her 20,000 yuan every month, but my husband and I combined only earned 15,000 yuan a month. To scrape together the 20,000, I practically lived at the office, working late into the night every day until everything I saw became a blur. Yet she took our hard-earned money to support that hoodlum, even boasting proudly, "That old woman clearly has money, I just have to keep pressuring her until she coughs it all up." Thinking of this, I clenched my fists tightly and turned to walk out of the room. "You old hag, even if you call my dad, it won't do any good." My daughter thought she had won again. She slammed the kitchen knife onto the table with a loud clang, smashed a few teacups to vent her anger, and then followed me into the bedroom. "Even if you kneel and beg me, I won't." The remaining words abruptly ceased as she fully stepped inside the house. The next second, my daughter's voice suddenly rose an octave. "What are you doing?" Meeting her shocked gaze, I swiftly packed her suitcase and placed it in front of her. "Go ahead, my daughter. Mom supports your freedom to love. Of course you two should be together. After all, your good days will come after the pregnancy." My daughter never expected me to act this way. Her reddened eyes widened in disbelief. When she didn't move, I pushed the suitcase forward again. "We should leave before it gets dark. I'll mail the Rest of your things to you later, you. The daughter pondered with her limited intellect, then sneered coldly as realization dawned. Just to stop me from killing myself, you'd even agree to me being with Jack. With an air of magnanimity, the daughter waved her hand dismissively. Fine, I get that you're old and can't bear to lose me, I can stay, but from now on, you're not allowed to interfere with anything I do, plus, you'll deposit 20,000 into my account every month. No questions asked on how I spend it. At this moment, I truly feel a deep sense of sorrow from the bottom of my heart. From the moment our daughter was born, we've treated her with the utmost care, as if she were too precious to even hold, but what we never expected was that she would start lying from a young age, constantly finding excuses to ask for money. Every time I took her to my mother's place, my mom would later find several bills missing from her wallet. Back then, my husband insisted on giving her a harsh beating to teach her a lesson, but I believed it was because we hadn't provided her with enough sense of security. Girls should be raised with abundance. All these years, I've done everything I could to give her the best. Whatever other children had, I made sure she had it too. In the end, I gave my life for her, and her first reaction was to film a video to fabricate evidence, then start a live stream to profit from it. You're wrong, I sighed, shook my head, and patted her shoulder. Mom is getting old, I can't control you anymore, and I don't want to. Starting today, whether you go to school or not, who you date, it doesn't matter. If you want to leave this home, just go, but 20,000 yuan is really too much. Mom can't afford it. You'd better go find someone else to be your mother. I knew you were just saying that in anger. You wait and see, I'm not coming home tonight. The daughter shouted and slammed the door as she left. She thought I was just being stubborn with her. Not long after the daughter left, I also went out, trapped in the role of a mother for too long. I've been eating my daughter's leftovers, the food she doesn't like, for almost every meal. This evening, I finally treated myself to a steak paired with red wine. The taste of fresh Wagyu beef was amazing. No wonder my daughter always wants to eat it. The service at high-end restaurants is truly exceptional. Being taken care of feels entirely different from always being the one who takes care of others. After a satisfying meal, I even went to watch a movie, buying myself popcorn and ice cream. I almost forgot that years ago, I was also a young girl, once cherished and held dearly in the palms of my parents' hands. When I returned home, I happened to see my daughter standing downstairs talking to a group of neighbors. From a distance, I only vaguely heard, "My dad is on a business trip, and my mom is home alone, so it's inevitable. If she doesn't care about me, then so be it. I've been like this since I was little. If I starve, I starve. Now she's gone out again, who knows with whom." The neighbors fanned themselves with palm leaf fans, gossiping incessantly. It suddenly dawned on me why the neighbors had always given me such cold looks over the years. It was probably because my daughter had been tirelessly slandering me behind my back. I had previously consulted a psychologist and learned that children in their early years might use lying and performative behaviors to gain attention, but I never expected that my daughter's habitual lying and unrestrained malice would only intensify as she grew older. My daughter saw me, snorted coldly, and walked away without looking back. I immediately began to explain, "My daughter just loves to lie. Everything she says is false. I just went out alone to have a meal," but no one responded, so I turned to greet the neighbors, hoping to ease the tension. "Aunties, out for some cool air, have you eaten yet?" Yet everyone merely grunted in response. I understand that Rome wasn't built in a day, and no amount of explanation now would help. Only time and facts can speak for themselves. I said no more and returned home, only to find the house in complete disarray. Almost everything breakable had been smashed, drawers were pulled open and ransacked. It looked as if the place had been looted. My daughter's large, scrawled words, filled with hatred, appeared on my bedsheet. "Damn old woman, won't give me money, don't regret it when my boyfriend and I stay over tonight. She's the one willingly ruining her own life, not mine. Why should I regret anything? The louder she screams now, the harder she'll get slapped in the face later." I sneered coldly, changed the bedsheets, and went back to sleep. The next day, as soon as I got home, I saw my daughter sitting in the living room with my best friend, Lily. Lily was a junior to me and my husband in college. Back then, she had pursued my husband unsuccessfully before later becoming close friends with me. She had been in a relationship once, but her partner cheated on her and was abusive, so she has remained single ever since. Ever since my daughter was born, she has frequently visited our home, bringing all kinds of snacks, dolls, and limited edition gaming consoles for my daughter. When my daughter was little, every time I tried to discipline her, she would call Lily, who would immediately come to our house and speak up for her. Later, as my daughter grew older, she started talking back to me, often saying, "You're always making a fuss. Nagging non-stop every day, what bad luck to be your daughter, how could Dad have been so blind to choose you, you're old and mean, if only Aunt Lily were my mom, she's so pretty and generous, not stingy and petty like you all the time." How much these words pained me to hear. She didn't care, genuinely wishing Lily could be her mother. At the moment, my daughter leaned pitifully into Lily's arms, while Lily held her hand, continuously comforting her. From my perspective, the two of them looked more like mother and daughter. Hearing my movement, my daughter didn't even lift her head as she loudly exaggerated her accusations. "My mom locked me out yesterday, leaving me with nowhere to go all night. Only my boyfriend took me in. She didn't even give me food and said she wouldn't provide me with living expenses anymore. Poor bitch, why have kids if you can't afford them? I was just bravely pursuing true love. What did I do wrong?" Lily tightened her arm around her shoulder. "You're not wrong. Your mom is way too harsh. What era is this? She's even meddling in her child's freedom to love. That's overstepping way too far. Woo-woo. Aunt Lily is the only one who truly cares about me. You treat me better than my own mom." Lily even suggested formally adopting her as a goddaughter on her coming-of-age ceremony day, and my daughter agreed with overwhelming joy. Hearing all this, I could only let out a cold laugh. In this world, besides the parents who gave birth to and raised you, can there really be strangers who are good to you for no reason? I pretended not to hear this and walked in with a smile. "My daughter, I know no matter what I say, you won't believe me, so I've decided to prove it with facts." After a pause, I said slowly, "Mom just went out to handle some business, and it was all for you. I've already talked with Jack's parents, and we've arranged your engagement. I won't take a single penny for the bride price. Once you two reach the legal age, you'll get married. Your coming-of-age ceremony is almost here. This time, Mom will organize a grand celebration for you and invite Jack over, so everyone can witness your happiness." The daughter's eyes widened, her face filled with shock and joy. She was so excited she couldn't speak, but what I didn't expect was that Lily suddenly trembled, her face turning extremely pale. Lily knew her daughter's temperament well and understood me too. Realizing we were both serious this time, facing my probing gaze, she opened her mouth as if to say something, but in the end, not a single word came out. "Mom, this is the right thing to do. This is the you I know. I don't know what came over you earlier." My daughter raised her eyebrows, then pointed at Lily and said to me, "I want Aunt Lily to be my godmother, and you should arrange the godparent ceremony together." My daughter always speaks in this domineering tone, expecting everything to go her way, but she doesn't know there's a word in this world called spoiling. To ruin, the coming-of-age ceremony she believed to be utterly perfect would mark the beginning of all her misfortunes. I agreed with a smile each time. In high spirits, my daughter asked cheerfully, "So what do you plan to do about the dowry?" I patted her shoulder reassuringly. "Don't worry, I'll make sure you're satisfied when the time comes." According to the timeline from my past life, by this time my daughter had already secretly tasted the forbidden fruit with Jack. Not long after, on her 18th birthday, she suddenly felt nauseous while eating and went to the hospital, where it was discovered that she was pregnant. At that time, I felt as if the sky had fallen and the earth had split open. I demanded that my daughter have an abortion and break up with Jack, but she said, "This is the fruit of my love with Jack, and I must give birth to it." She truly dropped out of school because of this, turned against me and my husband, and moved into Jack's home with sweet dreams. In the past life, it was precisely because of this that Jack reluctantly agreed to take responsibility under his parents' pressure. "Isn't this child the best dowry for our daughter?" At noon that day, as I was coming down from the office building, I unexpectedly saw my husband, who was supposed to be away on a business trip. He was still carrying his suitcase, clearly having just rushed back from a long journey. "What brings you here?" I walked up to him. My husband seemed in a bad mood. He handed me a steaming bag of candied chestnuts and spoke with a grim expression. "Fiona, how could you let our daughter get engaged to Jack just like that? Weren't you always against it? Don't you know what kind of person Jack is?" I didn't answer his question but instead asked first, "How did you know about these things?" Our daughter definitely wouldn't have told him, afraid he might object, so if my husband could know, someone must have gone out of their way to tell him. Sure enough, as soon as I finished speaking, Lily stepped out from the side. She sighed and said, "Fiona, I don't mean to criticize you, but what kind of mother would push her own child into a pit of fire? Letting the child have some fun dating is one thing, but how can you consider marriage with someone like this? Senior brother, you should talk to her too. What will people think if they find out? Isn't she ruining the child's life? Lily tried to hold her husband's hand, but he avoided her touch first. Her husband came over to help me with my bag and said to Lily with his back turned, "This is our family's private matter. Thank you for letting me know. My wife and I will discuss the rest at home." Lily was indignantly accusing me when I was suddenly doused with cold water by my husband. Her outstretched hand froze in midair, her eyes gradually darkening. Meanwhile, my husband had already draped his arm over my shoulder as usual, speaking to me gently. "I know our daughter has been tormenting you, and you made a poor decision in a moment of anger. I've been working very hard lately. My boss is about to promote me with a raise. Knowing you're a kind mother, don't worry about giving her living expenses anymore." He spoke in a coaxing tone, just like when we were first dating. "Be good, let's talk about whatever's bothering you at home. Tell me who's been bullying you, and I'll teach them a harsh lesson." All the grievances I'd endured these days welled up inside me at my husband's words. My eyes stung momentarily, and I desperately wanted to lean on his shoulder and sob my heart out. He only knew his daughter was unruly, but never imagined that I had truly been killed by her once. Even if I tell him the truth now, he probably wouldn't believe it, but I will definitely find a way to make him know the truth. Seeing my husband about to drag me away, Lily grew anxious and tried to stop us to speak again. I couldn't help but sneer at her and said, "Lily, you're always so attentive to my daughter's affairs. One might think you're her birth mother. Since that's the case, why don't you arrange her dowry as well?" I don't know which of my words struck a nerve, but Lily's gaze suddenly became evasive and panicked. She stammered, "What kind of talk is that? I've watched my girl grow up since she was little. Of course I care for her." Without another word, I simply took my husband's hand and left. That day when I got back, I only said one thing to my husband: "You're always away on business trips. You have no idea what kind of days I've been living through at home. If you dare to dissuade or stop me, then we might as well not continue this marriage." My husband was terrified, seeing how absolutely determined I was. He could only sigh in the end and say, "I married you, and you are the most important person in my life. As for our child, since she's willing, let her be." In the days that followed, no longer burdened by my daughter, I threw myself wholeheartedly into my work. My luck began to turn as well, as I successfully completed several major projects in a row, earning even my boss's praise. Back in the day, both my husband and I were top students. Somehow, we ended up with such an unambitious daughter. I used to be constantly preoccupied with family matters. Even at work I was always distracted. Now that I can focus wholeheartedly on my work, I feel like I've regained my former spirited self. Both my boss and colleagues say I look much younger now. A woman's worth is never confined solely to the household. That day, my husband had just received his promotion letter and was joyfully sharing the news with me over the phone, saying he wouldn't need to travel as often anymore and could stay home to take good care of me. Meanwhile, I also received a notification from my boss. The project bonuses from the past few times had been approved, amounting to a full 7-figure sum. As I stared at the sudden massive number in my account, my heart pounded wildly. I didn't tell anyone about this. The first rule of coming into wealth is to keep it secret. After calming down for a moment, I immediately used the money to buy a house in a development zone by the river. At that time, the location was extremely cheap. Just over $1 million could buy a nearly 200 square meter house, and no one was optimistic about it. But no one knew that in the near future, it would skyrocket into a bustling commercial district where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. By then, a single square meter there would cost a staggering $80,000. That evening, my daughter wasn't home. After taking a shower, I planned to scroll through my phone for a bit before going to sleep. Unexpectedly, on TikTok, I came across this trending local topic, #00s teen girl forced by mother to marry a delinquent #. It was anonymously posted by a user, detailing how Fiona had been abusing her daughter since she was a toddler learning to walk, preventing her from attending school, and resenting any sign of her daughter's well-being, ultimately driving the girl into severe depression. Now, for the sake of a dowry, she's forcing her to marry a delinquent who indulges in drinking, gambling, and all sorts of vices. Netizens were furious, flooding the comments with likes and responses. We're in the 21st century and this feudal relic of arranged marriages still exists. Is she jealous of her own daughter? This kind of mother deserves to die. If you can't raise a child properly, don't have one. Don't blame your incompetence on your kid. Someone dox this vile woman. I'm so angry. That little girl is truly pitiful. My mother has always loved me dearly. I truly can't imagine there are mothers like this in the world. This woman is just an animal. Up, up, up. Let's boost this post's popularity. not every woman deserves to be called a mother. Is this Lynn person short on money? Tell her to come find me, I'll burn it for her, as much as she wants. The mastermind behind this video is extremely cunning, the content she posted leaves me with no way to refute it. To use a popular phrase these days, my silence at this moment is deafening. These were all lies my daughter had told since childhood, so my first instinct was that she was behind it, yet I couldn't help but doubt. She had no reason to go through all this trouble. As I was pondering, my daughter called right off the bat. They're asking me for money, I'm out of living expenses with my partner. Send me 5,000 yuan right away, hurry up, I replied slowly. I'm sorry, my daughter. Your coming-of-age ceremony is just around the corner, and I've planned to make it a grand celebration. All the money I have has been spent on it. What rotten luck to have you as my mother. If you're broke, just work overtime to earn more. How could I end up with such a useless mom? The daughter angrily hung up the phone. Although online rumors were rampant, life had to go on. I put down my phone and went out to buy groceries. As I passed by downstairs, I saw a group of neighbors gathered together discussing something. When they saw me, without exception, they all showed expressions of disdain and contempt. Someone said in a tone neither too loud nor too soft, "What bad luck to live with someone like this." I always knew she was scum, but I never imagined she could be this insane. I pretended not to hear and walked past quickly. No rush. When my daughter's coming-of-age ceremony arrives, the truth will come to light. This viral TikTok trend finally came to a temporary end when the husband found a friend in the relevant field to handle the situation. A few days later, their daughter's coming-of-age ceremony arrived. Dressed in a gorgeous princess gown and wearing a heavy crown, their daughter stood proudly like royalty. Not only were all our relatives, friends, and neighbors present, but due to his recent promotion at work, many of his colleagues also came to celebrate. Everyone offered polite congratulations on the surface, but perhaps because of that trending topic, many people viewed me through tinted lenses. While I went to change clothes, I overheard someone outside calling out to my daughter, "My girl, is your mom really like what they said in that video?" Clearly, my daughter had seen the video too. She sighed and responded hypocritically, "Uncle, please don't say any more. I was born by my mother, so whatever she wants is fine." My God, do such mothers really exist in this world? But you're all grown up now, why stay with such a toxic woman? Marriage is a lifelong matter. The daughter's lies have reached a level of seamless perfection. It's okay, I don't care about anything, as long as my mother feels better in her heart. She was about to add more fuel to the fire when my husband arrived. After a few angry words from him, she left with a cold snort. Though my heart had been pierced by my daughter countless times before and should have grown numb, hearing her enjoy my sacrifices while stabbing me in the back in front of outsiders still made my heart ache uncontrollably. I took a deep breath, forced a proper smile, and went out to greet the guests. As fate would have it, Lily also came. To my disbelief, she actually gave my daughter an extremely valuable jade bracelet. I couldn't help but speak up. "Isn't that the jade bracelet you've been wearing since college? I think you mentioned it was a family heirloom from your grandmother." Lily smiled and said, "I've never married or had children all these years, and I've always treated your daughter as my own. Didn't you agree too, Fiona, to let my girl recognize me as her godmother? It just so happens that today we're holding the godparent recognition ceremony, so this jade bracelet can be my gift to my goddaughter." As she said this, many guests had gathered around. Her words instantly stirred up a storm, and some couldn't hold back their indignation, starting to criticize. "Look, it turns out there really are birth mothers who can't compare to godmothers in this world. The contrast couldn't be more striking." Indeed, not everyone possesses that human touch. Some are human, others are beasts. No, even tigers don't eat their own cubs. Truly heartless, daring to push their own daughter into any pit of fire. The last sentence was also heard by Lily, who immediately seized the opportunity to pressure me. "Fiona, I don't think you're that kind of person. Why don't you take this chance to make things clear to everyone? You never actually wanted your daughter to be with that little troublemaker, right?" Before her words even finished, in the distance, Jack swaggered over with a gang of his dubious friends in tow. They were a rowdy bunch, some with bleached blonde hair, others with dyed white, dressed in denim jackets and ripped jeans, slouching as they walked, smoking and occasionally spitting to the side. Such behavior was completely out of place in this resplendent hall, and their mere presence immediately drew looks of disgust from those around them. Jack remained utterly indifferent, summoning a waiter to fetch drinks as if calling a servant. Seeing Jack up close, Lily felt her vision darken and nearly fainted on the spot. She completely lost control of her emotions. pointing at him and shouting at me, "Fiona, open your damn eyes and look. Can someone like this really make my girl happy? What are you yelling at Fiona for?" My husband appeared, stepping in front of me, normally composed and restrained. He now pointed angrily at Lily's nose and shouted, "Get the hell out of here right now, you're not welcome here, senior brother." Lily clutched her chest in excruciating pain, tears welling up in her eyes. Her husband merely turned livid. "Get out, now." By this time, nearly all the guests had gathered here. Everyone exchanged glances, undoubtedly thinking what a venomous woman I was, and how my husband couldn't tell right from wrong. An aunt directly pulled her daughter over and said loudly, "Sweetie, today we're all here, so speak your mind freely. Do you actually like that little rascal or not? Do you want to be with him?" I refuse to believe that with so many of us present, your mother could still force you into anything. As they spoke, many people cheered in agreement, and quite a few took out their phones to record videos as evidence. However, something no one expected happened. The daughter suddenly shoved the woman away with force, staggered a few steps, and then crouched on the ground, retching uncontrollably. Seeing this, Jack also ran over. He pulled a piece of candy from his pocket and handed it to the daughter, saying casually, "Eat it, don't worry, it's sour." The daughter quickly unwrapped the candy and popped it into her mouth. After a moment, she let out a satisfied sigh, still mumbling with her mouth full, "Prepare a few more. My reactions have been really strong lately." At that moment, everyone realized something and took a sharp breath. They suddenly all understood why I had arranged this engagement for her. I'm afraid the one who suffered the most and felt the most despair wasn't her, but me. After eating the candy, my daughter covered her throat again as if about to retch. This time, with immense heartache, I stepped forward and asked her, "Daughter, tell me the truth. Not only have you two already crossed the line, but you're even carrying his." The daughter's eyes darted quickly. She instinctively wanted to deny it, but Jack deliberately provoked me, sneering coldly, "Yeah, we slept together, and she's pregnant now. What about it? She'd rather die than be apart from me. What can you do about it? I'll make you pay for always standing in our way. I just want to piss you off to death." After he said those words, a sudden sense of relief washed over me. "You bastard." I pretended to be utterly devastated, taking a few steps back before collapsing into my husband's arms in tears. The hall erupted into chaos. In an instant, phrases like, "minors experimenting with forbidden fruit," "shameless," "full of lies," and, "worse than animals," were all hurled at them. The foul language that once belonged to me has now been returned to them twofold. Some neighbors even began to doubt every word my daughter had ever said, believing, someone who could do such a thing and frame their own mother surely wouldn't speak a word of truth. All these years, we must have wronged Fiona. The husband stared dumbfounded at the scene, frozen for a long moment before snapping out of it and lunging to punch Jack, only to be yanked back by me with all my strength. Meanwhile, Lily suddenly threw herself at her daughter with reckless abandon, forcibly dragging her toward the exit. Jack tried to stop her, but she snarled and shrieked like a rabid dog, terrifying everyone into backing off. Her daughter, now utterly drained of strength, could only bite Lily's hand, yet Lily seemed completely numb to the pain. Watching their retreating figures, I was lost in thought. Suddenly, it struck me that the two of them bore an unexpected resemblance to each other. Indeed, upon closer reflection, they both had the same slender, phoenix-like eyes and similarly full, rounded lips. Quite unlike me or my husband, the coming-of-age ceremony was abruptly terminated when the daughter vomited in public due to morning sickness. I heard that Lily took her daughter to the hospital for a checkup, and when the pregnancy results came out, she broke down in tears on the spot. It suddenly occurred to me that during my own pregnancy, Lily inexplicably disappeared for several months, and during the time I was about to give birth, a nurse told me that a so-called friend of mine had visited me multiple times when no one was around. That afternoon, I collected hair samples from both of them and took them to an authoritative institution for a paternity test. This time, my husband was truly furious and severed the father-daughter relationship with our daughter. What disappointed him most was that our daughter could actually fan the flames and allow others to smear me, completely abandoning the basic moral principles of being a human. Although our daughter often acted domineering toward me, she was still afraid of her father. After making 2 scenes and realizing he was determined to disown her, she simply threw out harsh words, "I don't care to stay in this house anymore, I'll live well with my boyfriend." But she was wrong. After leaving me and her father, our daughter's life instantly fell from heaven into hell. I heard that ever since our daughter got pregnant and moved in with Jack, he became a completely different person. Not only did he completely abandon his previously gentle demeanor, coming home drunk every day, but he also beat and cursed her, demanding money from her. He even brought other women home right in front of her, forcing her to sleep on the sofa. If their daughter dared to say even one word more, he would immediately beat her and even threaten to kill her with a knife. Once, when Jack was drunk and beating their daughter, a neighbor couldn't stand it anymore and intervened, advising the daughter to leave. The daughter said, "Youth is always painful, but love can ease the pain. I know he loves me, he just couldn't control his temper for a moment and didn't see his own heart clearly. It's all those wild women outside seducing him, his heart clearly belongs only to me." With such a love-struck mindset, people gradually stopped caring about her. It is said that during the worst incident, Jack asked his daughter for money, but she truly had none left. Under his violent beating, his daughter nearly had a miscarriage and was rushed to the hospital by ambulance that night. However, the child was ultimately saved, and Jack, in tears, knelt down to apologize, and his daughter forgave him once again. The next time I saw my daughter was in a somewhat viral video online. My daughter appeared on camera with a prominent belly, tearfully accusing me of abandonment. Lily also accompanied her in front of the camera. The two performed like a duet, echoing each other's words, wiping her tears. My daughter said, "Since childhood, my mother has mistreated me. I had to work part-time to pay for my tuition and living expenses. I was washing dishes during summer vacations in elementary school." Lily also looked pained. "I can testify, I'm Fiona's best friend. I often saw the child's hands soaked in water, terribly red and swollen. It always made me cry." The daughter started sobbing again. "I know many people look down on me for being young and pregnant before marriage, but put yourselves in my shoes. If you were trapped in an utterly suffocating family, and suddenly someone treated you kindly, wouldn't you lose yourself in it? I just longed for a warm family. What's wrong with pursuing love? If someone treats me well, why can't I be with them? But now my boyfriend and I don't have the financial means, and my mother has completely cut off all my living expenses. I really have no way out. I want to ask everyone, as a mother, should she just stand by and watch her own child die?" Netizens are divided into two camps. One believes she deserves it for not loving herself and willingly sinking into depravity. The other camp believes all her misfortunes stem from having a despicable and shameless mother, making her pitiable and tragic. My daughter goes live every day to accuse me, and by receiving gifts and promoting small products, she's actually managed to earn quite a bit of money. Unfortunately, all that money was taken by Jack for drinking and gambling, and my daughter's life didn't improve at all. Just like in my past life, my daughter clung to my bones, sucking every drop of my blood to fuel her insatiable ambition. But none of this shocked me the most. What truly stunned me was how much my daughter had aged in just a few short months. Even thick beauty filters couldn't hide her eye wrinkles and bags. Despite her young age, her hair was falling out in clumps, his face was always covered in bruises. The husband was furious, this ungrateful daughter, slandering her own mother alongside outsiders. "I'll set the record straight right now and expose their true colors to everyone." I smiled and stopped my husband. "It's not the right time yet. Our daughter is enjoying herself at Jack's place. Let her indulge a little longer. When she's had her fill, I have a special gift waiting for her and Lily." The paternity test results were already in. The DNA of my daughter and Lily conforms to genetic inheritance patterns, with a paternity probability exceeding 99%. No, I shouldn't call her daughter anymore. I should call her by her name, Alice. During this period, I've mobilized all my connections to track down the doctor who delivered me at the hospital involved in the incident, as well as Lily's former scumbag boyfriend. The truth that has been buried for 18 years is about to be fully uncovered. My husband tenderly rubbed my hair, saying with heartache, "It's all my fault. I've been so busy with work all these years, leaving all the mess to you." But I knew it wasn't his fault. Back then, I indulged Alice unconditionally, buying her whatever she wanted. Unable to bear seeing me exhausted from overtime work, my husband chose to work himself to the bone to support our family alone. When it comes down to it, I also bear undeniable responsibility for how things have turned out today. The TV was on, and the news anchor was talking about how the Riverside area had been developed, with housing prices skyrocketing, skyscrapers springing up everywhere, and commercial capital expanding at an astonishing rate. My husband couldn't help but sigh. Back then, no one wanted those houses even at half price. Now, I couldn't afford one even if I worked my whole life. If only I'd had the foresight to buy there back then, you wouldn't have had to suffer. It's my fault. Who says so? I mysteriously pulled my husband into the bedroom and pulled out a little red booklet to show him. "Here, your birthday is coming up. I secretly used my project bonus to buy An apartment behind your back, registered under both our names. Go ahead and take a look." The moment the property deed was opened, my husband's mouth gaped wide enough to fit an entire egg. That day, as I returned home from work with groceries, a neighbor auntie stopped me. "We misunderstood you before, and now we realize it was all our fault. You're actually very polite and kind." She spoke with visible embarrassment, then suddenly turned serious. "By the way, you weren't home this afternoon. And your daughter came by again with her big belly and her boyfriend. I overheard them whispering about bringing people over to pressure you into taking out the property deed to sell for money." I froze. I knew Alice was shameless, but I never expected her to be this shameless. After hurriedly thanking the neighbor, I rushed home and told my husband about it. My husband found a moving company, and we moved all our belongings to the new house overnight. Fortunately, I had already arranged for someone to clean the new house beforehand. So after a round of tidying up that evening, we were able to settle in comfortably. Now, the neighbors have voluntarily become my informants. The next day, several kind-hearted neighbors kept calling me to report on the situation over there. Early in the morning, Alice and her boyfriend showed up with several young troublemakers carrying sticks, banging on the door so hard it nearly broke. When no one answered after repeated attempts, they started harassing the neighbors and only then found out we had already moved away, but no one would tell them the exact address where we currently live. If it weren't for those delinquents being present, the neighbors would have pointed at Alice's nose and scolded her harshly. In the end, those men, extremely dissatisfied, redirected all their anger toward Alice and demanded she give them money. Not only did Alice's boyfriend not speak up for her, but he also joined the others in shoving her and even slapped her across the face. I heard these words without feeling the slightest pity. This was all Alice's own doing. My gaze fell upon a document on the table, an investigative report sent by the police. All the doctors and nurses involved from the hospital back then have been located. They admitted that during my difficult labor with severe bleeding, my child died right after birth. It was Lily who bribed them to switch her own child in. I had anticipated this outcome long ago, and I tightly closed my eyes. This farce is about time to come to an end. I contacted the hottest media reporters of the moment and then called Alice, sending her my current residential address. "Alice," I said coldly, "long time no see." As I suspected, Alice appeared together with Lily. They were even holding up their phones high, live streaming the whole thing. The live stream title is, "Confronting the Evil Mother at Her Doorstep." I smiled. Now both my husband and I have lucrative jobs, with our combined monthly income reaching 100,000 yuan. Out of great generosity, I bought them a trending spot. Watching the live stream viewer count skyrocket, Alice and Lily were so excited their eyes turned red, thinking they were about to strike it rich. Alice shouted, "Folks, my wicked mom told me she lives here. Isn't that ridiculous? Don't I know how much money she has? She probably just made up an address to trick me. Don't I know my parents' salaries? Combined, they barely make over 10,000. She's never been capable of anything. Look, that woman is coming." With a beep, I swiped my card and walked out the door. Some viewers had already noticed something was off. "I know this neighborhood. Only residents can enter or exit with a card. Are you sure your mom isn't secretly loaded?" Streamer, a high-end neighborhood like this isn't for ordinary people. Even renting here costs 50,000 to 60,000 a month now. Anyone living here is definitely not average. Are you kidding me? I've seen that necklace around your mom's neck. It retails for over 300,000 on the official website. How could she possibly be poor? Alice panicked a little as she read these comments. Holy crap, just a few months apart and my mom actually struck it rich. Did she win the lottery or something? She looked at Lily for help, and Lily gave her a firm, reassuring look. "It's fine, now that she has money, she can just pay you child support. You're her daughter, all her assets will eventually be yours." After hearing this, Alice once again wore a smug expression. "True, all her assets will have to be inherited by me sooner or later. TSK, this neighborhood is really nice." She raised her eyes to survey the neighborhood, as if already envisioning the life she would lead here, yet I simply smiled and walked right past them. Behind them were the reporters who had just arrived. "Today, I have a major announcement to share with everyone." With the continuous vibration sounds, I smiled and raised my phone. "I've already sent this paternity test report to everyone's phones here. I solemnly announce to everyone that this Alice, who has been clamoring about being abandoned by me, is not my biological daughter at all." I pointed at Lily and said sharply, "But hers." I didn't expect that Alice wasn't surprised by this outcome. Her eyes were blinking rapidly at this moment, clearly indicating she had long known about her true origins. Lily, on the other hand, turned deathly pale. She immediately tried to lunge forward to shut down Alice's live stream, but the latter dodged. Out of the way, I clapped my hands, and from the side emerged a man with a crew cut, wearing a faded white shirt. "Lily, do you still recognize me?" When her ex-boyfriend appeared again, Lily's body trembled almost instinctively. She stepped back repeatedly, shouting, "I don't know you, and, stay away from me, you bitch. So you didn't abort the child back then, and even secretly swapped her with someone else's kid behind my back. How fucking low can you get? What, now you're pretending not to know me? Let me refresh your memory." The man grabbed Lily by the hair and began slapping her face repeatedly. Lily screamed in pain, continuously calling out Alice's name. Alice didn't even have the slightest intention to help. At this moment, all she could think about was how to lie and play the victim to maximize her own benefits. "Oh my God, I just found out about this too. I never imagined I had such a background. It's so tragic, abandoned by my birth mother the moment I was born, and now my adoptive mother treats me like this. But how could I give her another chance to fool the public?" "Alice, stop pretending. It's time for everyone to see your true colors." The next second, in front of everyone, I played the surveillance video of what Alice had done at home. The footage was crystal clear, and the audio was recorded distinctly. Alice looked like a demon with a twisted, ferocious face, frantically smashing everything in the house. "If you don't agree to my demands, I'll spill blood today and make you collect my corpse, you old hag. Calling my dad won't do you any good, poor trash. If you can't afford kids, why have them? Why don't you work yourself to death for money? Just die if you're broke, you worthless housewife. All you can do is laundry and cooking. Being your daughter is so embarrassing. Hey babe, that old bitch must have lost her mind today. She didn't give me a single cent. I really want to kill her. Is there any way to make her disappear without anyone noticing?" At this moment, not only did the live stream audience explode, but the surrounding crowd also erupted in outrage. "Beastly scum, such people don't deserve to live in this world. No, I'm so angry I could explode. I can't hold it in anymore. I'm going to slap her to death, to uphold justice. If you can't hold it in, then don't. Let's go together. You actually. So you've been pretending all along. You've been planning to set me up from the start." Facing Alice's trembling gaze, I silently smiled. Given a second chance at life, of course I'd be more cautious. Isn't it perfectly normal to install surveillance cameras all around the house? Just as bystanders were about to rush forward and hit her, Alice suddenly screamed, "Mom, it was all my fault for being momentarily bewitched by that woman. Please don't abandon me. Everything before was taught to me by Lily. She's the one who drove a wedge between us, mother and daughter. And she's the one who posted those slanderous videos on Douyin. I couldn't stop her no matter how hard I tried." Her knees buckled, and with a thud, she fell to the ground, wailing loudly, "Mom, you'll always be my mom. We've lived together for so many years. You still have feelings for me, right? Please, Mom, if you abandon me, I'll really die. I'll die with the child in my belly. Mom, I've truly changed. I'll take care of you in your old age. After all, I'm the only child you'll ever have in this lifetime. Can you forgive me?" I just stood there numbly, letting her collapse and weep at my feet. At this moment, when all the truth was revealed, I didn't feel the relief I had imagined. On the contrary, it felt like a knife had carved open my chest, leaving a burning, searing pain. 18 years, the best years of my life, had been ruthlessly destroyed by such a vicious conspiracy. I used to love gazing at mountains and rivers, but ever since having my daughter, my life has been completely confined to the daily grind of household chores. We had promised each other before marriage that we'd maintain the same carefree lifestyle as when we were dating, going on picnics, taking vacations, attending concerts, yet I've broken all those promises. Biting back tears, I looked up and said to her, "I will never forgive." That day ended with Lily being taken away in a police car. Alice and Jack were disgraced, their TikTok accounts were banned, and they lost their only source of income. Yet Jack still loved gambling and drinking, while Alice, being pregnant, needed regular prenatal checkups and other expenses. One night, Jack, fueled by alcohol, directly beat Alice until she miscarried. He himself was also arrested and imprisoned for intentional assault. Ironically, Alice even said she would wait for him to be released. She cried with snot and tears streaming down her face, shouting, "You're all I have left, Jack. No matter how long it takes, I'll wait for you." Jack's family vented all their anger on Alice, confining her at home and forbidding her from going out. As for what those people did to Alice, we may never know. Only later did we hear rumors of a mentally disturbed woman seen scavenging for food in the streets, who bore a striking resemblance to Alice. Later, a body was found by the river. They said it was a homeless woman who, driven by hunger, went to drink from the river but accidentally fell in and lost her life. Meanwhile, I was sitting comfortably in my 200 square meter house, enjoying tea and TV with my husband. I've booked a restaurant for tonight and bought movie tickets too. My husband handed me a cup of tea. Let's have some couple time like the young people do. I took it with a smile. Sure. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My husband went hiking and camping with his female buddy. His female buddy picked mushrooms to make soup, but I stopped him from drinking it. Later, his female buddy died from poisoning. He held me in his arms, kissed me with lingering fear, and thanked me for saving his life, yet he poisoned me at the happiest moment of my pregnancy. Tina was already carrying my child when she went mushroom picking. If you hadn't stopped me, I would never have let anything happen to her. You and your child will pay with your lives. Clutching my stomach, I collapsed in agony, with regret and resentment. I closed my eyes forever. Opening my eyes again, I saw the soup handed to me by his female friend. I won't stop you anymore. I was reborn on the day of the hiking and camping trip with my husband Bob and his group. Honey, just hang in there a little longer, we're almost there. I couldn't help but tremble at the sound of Bob's voice, and only by feeling the stifling air around me did I gain a tangible sense of rebirth. I've never been fond of exercise, and hiking is practically the death of me. Bob enjoys activities like fitness and sea fishing, but he doesn't go hiking or camping much. To fit into my husband's circle, I forced myself to tag along. In his previous life, his female friend Tina picked mushrooms to make soup, and I stopped him from drinking it, fearing it might be poisonous. After coming down the mountain, he received news that his friends had been poisoned. Tina, who ate the most, didn't survive. He held me tightly, still shaken, thanking me for persuading him and saving his life. From then on, he treated me even better. The moment I found out I was pregnant, I felt like the happiest person in the world. I couldn't wait to share this news with Bob, imagining how excited he would be. When I got home and saw him smiling as he brought me a bowl of soup, I drank it without a second thought. That night, when the poison took effect, I begged him to save me and the baby in my womb, but he snarled at me in rage. If it weren't for you stopping me, Tina would never have died. She was carrying my child when she died. It was worth all my effort to get you pregnant. You and your child deserve to die in her place. After marriage, he said that women suffer during childbirth and couldn't bear to see me in pain. Speaking with such sincerity, I personally love children, but hearing him say that, I still agreed to be a dink, double income no kids, couple with him. Recently, he suddenly said he wanted a child. I thought he had changed his mind, but who would have guessed he intended to crush my heart. He struck me down at the happiest moment of my life. Thinking of this, I coldly spoke up. How far have we climbed now? Seeing how serious my question was, Bob took out the map to check. We're about 5 kilometers away from reaching it. Glancing at the time, I dismissed the idea of descending the mountain alone. It was too late to turn back now. Bob finished speaking and reached out as if to take my backpack. Tina blocked him with a glare. Oh, so you're feeling protective now? We all climbed up here together, and you only care about your wife, not your buddies. Not that I'm saying your wife isn't cut out for hiking, but why bring her along just to suffer? As soon as she finished, the people around burst into teasing laughter. Bob's with us, bro, what's the missus got to worry about? Then they glanced at Tina again. Don't treat Tina like a woman, sis, she's just one of the guys, a real bro to all of us. Tina immediately punched the guy. Huh? What great buddies. Carrying your bro's baby in your arms. In my past life, I was constantly mocked by her with veiled sarcasm. Not daring to show any weakness. Right now, I can't be bothered with all that. I took off my backpack and threw it straight into Bob's arms. He's still my husband for now, so what if I order him around? Anyway, I've made up my mind. After we get down this mountain, I'll either be widowed or divorced. The people around me stopped talking when they saw I was genuinely angry. Tina followed behind, panting with anger. They had only gone boat fishing before, and their camping trips were always in developed scenic areas. This time, our destination was deep in the remote mountains with no signal. I thought they were all experienced and somewhat professional. Who knew they just casually put together a group without doing much preparation? I could feel the air becoming increasingly humid. I walked faster and faster. Others also sensed the changing weather. It's not going to rain, is it? Tina didn't seem concerned. It's fine. I brought a raincoat. Let's not wander around. We should find a spot To set up the tent, the others quickly agreed, and Bob called me over to help. I glanced at the dark, cloud-covered sky and snorted coldly. Are you sure you can set up the tent before it rains? I think I'll find somewhere else to take shelter. With that, I took back my backpack and prepared to keep walking. Kathy, Bob tried to call me back, but Tina held him back. Bob, it's about to rain. We need to set up the tent quickly. I think your wife is probably mad at me, usually so carefree and bold in front of them. Now he was saying these words with reddened eyes, looking utterly pitiful. Immediately, they felt a surge of protective sympathy for him. Ma'am, please come with us. Hey, sister-in-law, if you can't help, at least don't make things worse. Bob's face darkened upon hearing this. With a grim expression, he said unhappily, just leave her be. If words won't persuade her, let experience teach her. She'll come back once she's thoroughly drenched. Tina also seemed pleased with their attitude and provocatively raised an eyebrow at me. Once we set up the tent, you'll come begging to us. I'm utterly speechless. Just these bunch of amateurs. In my previous life, I listened to them and set up a tent here, but when the heavy rain came, none of them could do it properly. In the end, soaked to the bone, I managed to set up a tent by following the tutorial I learned before going up the mountain. My little tent couldn't accommodate so many people. They hid in my tent and ordered me to keep setting it up. Later, the tent couldn't withstand the heavy rain and started leaking, and they kept blaming me for the poorly pitched tent. I had to search for shelter in the pouring rain. After returning, I even developed pneumonia and was hospitalized for a long time. This time I really have to get out of here quickly, without me around. Let's see who you'll blame now. Following my memory, I found the shelter where I took refuge from the rain in my previous life. To call it a shelter is a bit of an exaggeration. It's just a very old small hut, but it did protect us from the sudden downpour, so I stayed here peacefully, waiting for the storm to pass before descending the mountain. This time, unlike the wretchedness of my previous life, I laid out my sleeping bag and took out water and food to replenish my energy. Soon, a bolt of lightning split the sky, followed by rolling thunder and a downpour. I stretched lazily and sighed. This kind of weather was perfect for sleep. I drifted off into a hazy slumber. I was soon awakened by the noise outside the door. I craned my neck to look out. I could barely suppress the smile on my face. Wasn't that my nearly dead husband and his entourage, drenched to the point where even their own mothers wouldn't recognize them? Their raincoats were now tattered and torn, with Bob even using a sleeping bag to shield both himself and Tina from the rain. The group pushed open the door and stumbled in, looking utterly disheveled, completely unaware of my presence in the corner. Once inside, they busied themselves with unpacking, as Bob thoughtfully pulled out a towel to dry Tina's hair. Tina scolded a friend beside her for being slow and wasting time. The others then complained that she had brought too few supplies. As this small group was busy blaming each other, they finally noticed me occupying the best spot. Tina immediately pointed at me angrily. Kathy, how could you? You found shelter from the rain but didn't call us, while we were worried sick about you. Did you come looking for me? Did you even try? I turned my gaze back to Bob. What about you? Did you look for me? Aren't we married now? Aren't you worried I might get lost alone? The two of them were instantly speechless, seeing them at a loss. The others stepped in to mediate. We were just about to finish setting up the tent and come look for you. Don't be angry, sis. The lesson from my past life is clear. If you tolerate it once, others will bully you for a lifetime. Watching these people shift the conflict onto me, I raised my eyebrows sarcastically. So, have you set up your tents yet? Weren't you supposed to be waiting for me to come begging? Bob put down his things unhappily. Tina is right, you're being petty. Can't you take a joke? Tina crossed her arms. This house isn't yours either. We found it too. Why the passive-aggressive tone? The others glared at me with hostility. By now, the sky had completely darkened, and the temperature difference between day and night in the mountains was significant. The group of them were shivering, their clothes soaked and dripping. Some had already started changing into spare clothes they'd brought, doing so in the corners, perhaps in their haste to flee. Tina, who was being supported by Bob, hadn't been carrying her backpack. It must have been left behind at the campsite. Her face was wet with rain, and her long hair was still dripping. Staggering unsteadily, she looked truly pitiful. A flicker of sympathy passed through Bob's eyes as he glanced at me curled up in the sleeping bag. Lowering his voice, he said, "You have clothes in your bag, right? Lend them and the sleeping bag to Tina." I ignored their expectant looks of approval, astonished by their audacity. What about me? Bob's eyes darted around. You could sleep with me. What nerve? Didn't you use your sleeping bag to shield Tina from the rain? I can't be bothered to argue with you. I didn't bring extra clothes, and I'm not lending my sleeping bag. The group had been exhausted from the early morning until now, and they no longer had the energy to banter with me. Seeing my firm stance, a few of them tried squeezing into the remaining sleeping bags, leaving one last one which Bob gave to Tina. He then lent his own clothes to her as well. He took off his coat. Fortunately the clothes underneath weren't too wet. Angry, he ignored me and wrapped himself in a blanket to sleep, perfectly suited to my wishes. Early the next morning, we prepared to descend the mountain. Unlike my refreshed and energetic state, several of them had already fallen ill after getting caught in the rain. Bob's voice was also somewhat hoarse. This prompted Tina to fuss over him for quite a while, as if deliberately trying to provoke me. His responses to Tina were much more enthusiastic than usual. I no longer bothered to conceal the disdain in my eyes. Everyone woke up starving, but we didn't have enough prepared ingredients. Most of the food was in Tina's backpack. Since her backpack wasn't brought over, we had to make do with what we had. At least we had the stove and small pot. Tina patted her chest and promised she'd make sure everyone got something to eat. Luckily, I still had 2 pieces of compressed biscuits. I wouldn't dare eat anything she cooked. Soon, Tina proudly called out to everyone, "All right, come and taste my cooking." I glanced at the soup she handed to Bob. A cold laugh echoed in my heart. "Isn't this the poisonous mushroom soup from the previous life?" I watched as Bob took the soup. With a slight smile, he asked dotingly, "Where did you pick these mushrooms?" Tina sat close to him and served herself a bowl as well. "Picked them from the woods nearby." "What, are you scared?" Seeing everyone hesitating to speak, she burst into laughter. "Don't worry, I used to go mushroom picking before. The brightly colored ones that change color when cut are poisonous, but this is just an ordinary mushroom." After dispelling everyone's doubts, she began serving mushroom soup to each person. There was still some left in the pot, and I quickly said I had already eaten. Seeing that I was being tactful, she didn't snap at me and served herself and Bob another bowl. "Bob, drink more hot soup to recover faster from your cold." Noticing this, he made a veiled remark, "The soup is delicious, truly. Time reveals a person's heart. It's in times of crisis that you see who genuinely cares for you." Hearing this, Tina's eyes instantly welled up with emotion, and she couldn't suppress the corners of her mouth from curling upward. The others exchanged knowing glances at the two of them, and I just watched her and Bob sip their mushroom soup spoon by spoon. "TSK TSK TSK, if it's delicious then drink more." "Once we're all packed up, we'll get ready to descend the mountain. The way down isn't easy, especially after the heavy rain when the path turns muddy, with some trees fallen right across the middle of the trail." Seeing this situation, everyone had a disagreement. The original path was steeper but would take less time. The other path was flatter but doubled the distance. In the previous life, except for me, who got drenched the most and fell the sickest, almost everyone else could grit their teeth and endure, so they all chose the relatively safer, flatter path. Tina had been exhausted all day yesterday and just wanted to get down the mountain early, thinking the rain had stopped and it was no big deal. She insisted on taking the same path back and dragged Bob along. "Then you two go back the same way. I'll take the other path myself." Bob thought I was being stubborn. "Kathy, now is not the time for your tantrums. Can't you be more sensible? That path is so steep, who knows what's there." "I'm not taking it, no matter what," one of them chimed in when they heard me say that. "Bob, James and I will stick with sis-in-law. We'll meet up at Broken Stone Cliff later." Broken Stone Cliff is the intersection point of 2 paths, merging into a single trail leading down the mountain. Our journey went surprisingly smoothly this time, likely because I wasn't weakened by illness and slowing the group down. We actually arrived earlier than we had in my previous life. We didn't see Bob and the others when we arrived. It seems they really ran into trouble. I had planned to go straight down, but these two insisted on waiting for them, and honestly, I was running out of energy too, had no choice but to sit down and rest. James suddenly stood up and spoke alertly. "Did you hear that sound?" We quickly listened carefully. There really was crying coming from nearby, and upon closer listening, we confirmed it was coming from the path Bob had chosen to descend the mountain. We followed the sound and walked a short distance before spotting a figure. Tina collapsed to the ground, wailing loudly. The remaining people frantically dug through the soil nearby. Upon closer inspection, they realized Bob was buried in the dirt. It turned out they had encountered numerous falling rocks along the way, leaving them both shocked and terrified. Several times when others wanted to turn back and take the path we had chosen, Tina and Bob persuaded them to continue, saying we were already halfway there and there might be nothing ahead. It wouldn't be worth dragging their sick bodies back and forth. Just as they were stumbling along, almost reaching Broken Stone Cliff, a small landslide suddenly occurred. Bob pushed Tina away but ended up buried in the dirt himself. Fortunately, the upper half of his body wasn't buried too deep. A few people quickly dug around and saw most of his body was still above ground, so they tried to pull him out, but as soon as they pulled, he cried out in pain. His foot was tightly pinned by several large rocks in a sunken part of the ground, making it impossible to move. I really shouldn't be too cold, so I stepped forward several times to pull him up. All I got in return was his wailing. Just as I was about to approach him again, I was finally stopped, panting heavily. Bob asked, "Where's Tina? Is Tina okay?" Only then did we notice the various scrapes and bruises on Tina's body. One ankle was already swollen and deformed, looking particularly horrifying. James couldn't bear it anymore. "Don't worry about others right now. This place is too dangerous. It could collapse at any moment. I feel like I have a fever and don't have the strength to go down the mountain now. Those who still feel physically capable should go down first to get help." His suggestion was supported by everyone, but counting me, only 3 of us were still able to keep going. Tina grabbed someone's arm as we were about to leave, tears streaming down her face like raindrops on pear blossoms. She pleaded, "I don't want to stay in this godforsaken place. Take me with you." The man clearly hesitated, looking troubled. Not wanting to waste time, I took a deep breath and said, "Tina, look at your own feet. Can you even walk? By the time you reach the foot of the mountain, your feet will be ruined." The crowd also began to persuade her. Seeing everyone like this, Tina glanced at the dark clouds gathering in the sky and suddenly erupted. "I already said I don't want to stay in this damn place. Can't you understand human speech? If I can't walk, can't the 3 of you carry me down? If it starts pouring again, how can I get soaked with all these wounds on me? I must have had the worst luck in 8 lifetimes. Ending up with you useless lot on this mountain and getting my leg injured." This outburst completely shattered the image everyone had of her. Even Bob, lying face down in the dirt pile, frowned. "I can't carry you. If you want to go down the mountain, do it yourself." The remaining 2 were so afraid she'd latch onto them that they abandoned their backpacks and fled. By the time we reached an area with signal, an hour had already passed. Exhausted and gasping for breath, we collapsed on the ground, unwilling to take another step as we waited for rescue. When help arrived, one team escorted us down the mountain while another went up to rescue those still stranded. We sat in the rescue vehicle at the foot of the mountain, and the medical staff came forward to check that we were unharmed. The others were brought down one after another. There was still no sign of Tina and Bob. James told us what had happened. After we left, Tina had an emotional breakdown. Bob tried to comfort her, but she said many hurtful things, and the 2 of them nearly had a falling out. When the rescue team arrived, they carried Tina down the mountain. James and the others, having rested and regained some strength, walked down on their own and arrived a bit earlier. "Sis-in-law, don't overthink it. From what I can see, those 2 have had a falling out. You and Bob should just focus on living your lives well." I snorted coldly. "You're quick to call me sis-in-law when you need something. Don't think I don't know you never really cared about me. I've seen through it all now. And our family matters are none of your business." I was initially captivated by Bob's face and abs. After marriage, he kept hanging out with his bros all the time. I thought he valued brotherhood, but turns out one of those bros was actually a woman. My parents are quite traditional and constantly drilled into me the virtues of being a virtuous wife and loving mother. As a result, I always felt insecure around him. Looking back now, my family background was far superior to his, and I had already worked my way up to a managerial position at a young age in the company. What do I have to feel inferior about? Despite his contempt, even after helping his so-called friends all these years, I still haven't been accepted by them. Thinking about it, I'm ridiculous for wasting my time on these scumbags. Wait until the 2 of them are sent down the mountain. Bob's legs were covered in bright red patches mixed with sand and mud. As a family member, I followed along to the hospital. Those few people thought everything would be fine once they reached the hospital and waited for treatment. Little did they know, the mushroom soup they drank was starting to take effect. They started vomiting one after another, feeling utterly miserable. Diagnosed as mushroom poisoning, they were fine after stomach pumping in the emergency room. Tina and Bob, who drank the most, are now experiencing abdominal pain, and their condition is more critical, since almost no one here gathers mushrooms for food. The hospital isn't very experienced in treating such cases. The doctor spoke with difficulty. Both patients are in critical condition right now, but we only have 1 dose of the antidote left. We'll need to administer it to the man first since his condition is more severe. The woman will have to wait until more medication arrives. His words left everyone in silence. On the way to the hospital, it was clear that the two of them were indeed ignoring each other, just as James had said. I glanced briefly at Tina. She was sobbing softly, saying she was in so much pain. It truly tugged at my heartstrings. I glanced over and said, "Honey, look, Tina seems to be in really bad shape. What should we do? Does the doctor really have to prioritize the more severe cases for medication first?" The medical staff explained while treating her. "That's the principle, but don't worry, the medicine will arrive soon, and we'll handle the initial care in the meantime." A wail came from Tina's side as the doctor was putting a cast on her foot. When her fine sweat had eased a bit, she looked up at Bob. Tears welled up in her eyes, on the verge of falling. She must have been truly terrified. "Bob, I was just scared on the mountain and ended up saying a lot of things I didn't mean. Don't take it to heart. Could you let me have that medicine first? The doctor said more will be available soon." Bob looked at me with a troubled expression. "I don't have a problem with it, but I am Kathy's husband after all." She probably wouldn't agree. They really are good brothers, always pushing things onto me. I'm not going to be the bad guy here. "Honey, I think Tina isn't feeling well either. She was planning to go to the hospital just the other day. Remember, maybe we should let her have it." "Don't be so stingy. Every time I justifiably defend my own interests, he calls me petty. Now the boomerang has come back to hit him. Let's see how magnanimous he can be." Bob was left speechless by my words, his face turning red, whether from pain or anger. Hearing this, the doctor didn't waste any time and immediately checked Tina's test results on the computer. The doctor walked over to Tina with a complicated expression and whispered a few words to her. After hearing them, she froze for a moment before replying to the doctor in a low voice. The emergency room was so noisy that no one could clearly hear their conversation. Only the corner of my mouth twitched upward slightly. They must have noticed. Just then, my in-laws arrived and began berating me for not taking good care of their son, blaming me for Bob's condition. "Bob, we're having a baby. Can I use that medicine first?" Tina's words exploded like a thunderclap. The in-laws were in disbelief, unable to accept that their outstanding son had an affair and fathered a child out of wedlock. "Who do you think you are, casually slandering my son like this, with such loose morals? Who knows whose child it really is?" Bob, who had been reluctant just moments ago, now wore an expression of heroic sacrifice. "Don't make things difficult for Tina. Give the medicine to Tina first. Saving this child is what matters most." The two held hands, gazing at each other with tear-filled eyes. It was rather amusing. The doctor had already planned to administer the medicine to Tina first upon learning of her pregnancy. Unaware of this, the two had put on quite a show, seeing her son admit to the matter. What else could my mother-in-law say? She just blamed me harshly. "Don't blame Bob. It's your own fault for not being able to conceive after being married for so long. In my past life, Bob watched as his parents pressured me to have children and chose to stay out of it. A few times when I retorted, he even scolded me for being too blunt and making them lose face. This time, I want to see how these prideful old folks will handle the shame of him fathering a child out of wedlock." The doctor interrupted the grandmother's scolding. "Now we're ready. He needs emergency surgery." After signing a pile of forms, the medicine was delivered just as he was being taken to the operating room. Perfectly timed for use. The surgery took a long time before it was finally over. After being admitted to the ward, the doctor came to inform us of the situation. His lower body had been crushed for too long, and they would try their best to save his legs. However, his lower body was severely damaged, and even if he recovers, it might not function properly. Upon hearing this, the in-laws immediately collapsed to the ground. I was secretly overjoyed. Though he didn't die, he became a eunuch now. After a long moment of stunned silence, my father-in-law nudged my mother-in-law and said to me with difficulty, "Kathy, don't worry, Bob can still be cured in the future. For now, let's just placate Tina. Once she gives birth, we'll take the baby and raise it for you." I curled my lips and replied calmly, "I won't raise someone else's child. Did you really think I could keep living with this trash?" Bob rasped furiously, "You heartless bitch. Don't even dream of divorcing me." I couldn't care less about his verbal threats. "If you don't agree, I'll expose your affair and your inadequacy. What will your classmates and colleagues think when they find out? You wouldn't want to lose your job too, would you?" Bob's eyes were bloodshot as he glared at me fiercely. He knew I was capable of doing it. He had always cared deeply about his reputation, and his workplace placed great emphasis on personal integrity. That's why in our previous life, even after having an affair with Tina, he never dared to mention divorce to me. It wasn't until after Tina's death that he discovered she had been pregnant, and then he pinned everything on me, poisoning me with toxic mushroom soup. Bob, who thought he would die, narrowly escaped death. I was upset by the sight. Since we had already fallen out, I decided not to stay there any longer. After returning, I immediately contacted a lawyer to gather evidence. My parents were furious when they found out about the incident. Even the most conservative approach is based on the premise of mutual loyalty. Now he's done such a shameless thing, and they strongly support my decision to divorce. The divorce went more smoothly than I expected, and all the assets were awarded to me. Perhaps they were afraid I'd make a scene that would spread throughout the city, or maybe they were certain Tina's pregnancy was secure, and the two of them were desperate for legitimacy. In any case, a month later, I was single again. I truly didn't want to sacrifice my own future just to get revenge on those two despicable people. Now I just want to live my own life. Those two still have a pile of mess waiting for them. They'll bring about their own destruction sooner or later. I only heard about them again when my mom told me at the dinner table. My mom casually brought it up. Do you know what happened to Bob? I paused my chopsticks and shook my head. My mom gloated with schadenfreude. He beat Tina so badly she had a miscarriage. My dad's eyes widened. Weren't they about to get married? How did it come to this? My mom immediately put down her bowl, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Turns out the baby wasn't even his. He flew into a rage when he found out, beat her up, got arrested, and the whole thing was reported to his workplace. Now everyone knows. There's no way he's keeping his job now. After dinner, I asked a few close friends for details. After Bob and I got divorced, Bob's mother was extremely attentive to Tina, buying her many nutritional supplements for her pregnancy. Seeing Bob's mother's behavior, she asked for a lot of money. As the child in her belly is now the only heir of the G family, she wanted the stars in the sky, and the elderly couple from the G family would have tried to get them for her. But Bob's mother kept pressuring her to get married, which infuriated her. How could she possibly marry a useless man? Fed up with the nagging, she bluntly admitted in front of them that the child wasn't even Bob's. The G family couldn't believe it and took Tina for a non-invasive paternity test. The results showed the child wasn't his. He endured this pain to save Tina, only to be played for a fool. How could he swallow this anger? After being arrested, he fainted due to his body not having fully recovered. He is currently receiving treatment in the hospital. After work that day, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. It was the police. The voice on the other end sounded urgent. Is this Miss Kathy? We need your immediate assistance at the city hospital. I rushed to the hospital and got the full picture of what was happening. After Bob woke up in the hospital, he took advantage of the dinner hour to sneak into Tina's room, held her at knife point, and forced her onto the rooftop. The situation was reported to the police after someone noticed. The request made to the police was to see me, so I was taken to the rooftop by the police, who repeatedly assured me of my safety before going up. I didn't dare to walk over, and Bob was also afraid of an ambush and didn't dare to come closer. We just stood our ground like this. I was the first to break the silence. Don't act impulsively. Don't you love her dearly? As if I had hit a nerve, he roared. What do you know? This bitch actually lied to me. Bob's knife had already cut the skin on her neck, leaving a trail of blood. Tina's teeth were chattering uncontrollably, and a damp patch slowly spread across the hem of her pants. Trembling, he begged for mercy. It's all my fault. Please spare me. I promise I'll marry you. Bob sneered. Didn't you say I was just your dog? How could you marry me? I got injured saving you, and you dared to betray me. Then, with a deranged grin, he turned to me and snarled, so you're back too? Why didn't you stop me? You let me become a cripple. Both of you deserve to die. My heart shuddered. Since you've remembered, how dare you blame me? Didn't I try to stop you back then? How did you treat me? You're here blaming this and that, but wasn't every single time your own choice? Upon hearing my words, he went berserk like an unleashed mad dog, shoved Tina to the ground, and brandished a fruit knife as he lunged at me. Terrified, I scrambled backward, only to hear a loud bang. Bob collapsed to his knees, clutching his gunshot wound and moaning in agony. The two quickly rushed over and pinned him to the ground. Seeing this, Tina, no longer frightened, sneered, I wasn't wrong to call you a dog. You were always my lapdog, and now you're a castrated one, still dreaming of marrying me. What a joke. Bob's eyes nearly spat fire at her words. Suddenly, he broke free with a fierce struggle and charged toward Tina. Holding her, he tumbled off the rooftop of a dozen floors, plummeting downward. Although an air cushion had been laid out below, Bob hit the edge of the cushion and bounced onto the ground. Tina landed on the air cushion and was not in any life-threatening danger. After all this commotion, Bob was sent back to the operating room. His parents actually had the audacity to come to my door. Kathy, Bob still has feelings for you. He knows he was wrong now and has been punished. He won't mess around anymore. A look of disdain flashed in my eyes. Of course he wouldn't mess around. He's completely incapable now. They only knew that Bob had kidnapped Tina, shouting to see me, but they didn't know the full story and thought Bob wanted to remarry me. I waved my hand, ready to close the door, but they pushed against it. How about this? We'll transfer the house from our hometown to you too. Now you have nothing left to say, right? Let's get remarried tomorrow. As if they were granting me some enormous favor. My eyes were icy cold. Even if Bob survives, he'll still spend the rest of his life in prison. How dare the two of you have the nerve to come here and say such things to me? Bob's father looked displeased. A divorced woman like you, who would even want you, married for so long and never got pregnant, who knows if there's something wrong with you? We've already thought it through. Once you and Bob remarry, we'll adopt a child for you to raise back home. When Bob gets out, your family will still be whole and complete. Wow, what a grand promise. What a shameless face. What kind of dream are you living in? Have you lost your minds? Instead of meddling in my life, you should focus on your own son. By the time he gets out, he'll be in his 70s or 80s. No job, no pension. How on earth is he supposed to survive? Bob's father was so furious his eyes turned red. So isn't that why I'm coming to you now? A day as husband and wife brings 100 days of kindness. You can't just watch me die without helping. Bob's mother blurted out the words from the bottom of her heart without hesitation, thinking I'm an easy target, coming to me as a last resort. I wasn't about to indulge them. If you're worried Bob won't have anyone to take care of him, why don't you just have a second child yourselves? Called the neighborhood security to drag them away, saying they'd call the police if they saw those two again. Bob wasn't so lucky this time. The whole incident left him with nerve damage, aphasia, and hemiplegia, which hurt him more than death itself. He was granted medical parole and taken home for care. Tina was traumatized by this incident and became all paranoid. I heard her family took her back to their hometown. The next time I heard about Bob was in a news clip I came across on a short video platform. Maybe my words last time provoked his parents. They actually went ahead and had a second child. But it wasn't Bob's mother who gave birth, it was Bob's father who had an affair with a younger woman and fathered a child. The woman carried the child into their home, declaring she would make Bob's father divorce and be with her. The chaos escalated to the point where the media got involved. Bob's mother, who valued her reputation above all, took to social media to vent her anger. Condemning the mistress and her husband's despicable actions, she gained a wave of sympathetic supporters. However, after Bob's past behavior was exposed, some people said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. When I opened the comments section of her account, the top comments were filled with mockery and sarcasm, though there were some supportive and comforting messages below. She was originally the victim in this matter, but back when I was in the same situation as her, she didn't blame her own son for his mistakes. Instead, she placed all the blame on me, an innocent party. Back when she said Bob cheated because I was useless, she probably never imagined she'd end up like this herself. Just as I boarded the high-speed train with my parents for our vacation down south, my phone buzzed with a notification for a follow-up message. I unlocked my phone. It turned out that Bob's father had earnestly explained that everything he did was for Bob's good, as he was now bedridden with paralysis. What would happen to him after the old couple passed away? They raised this child so that he could take care of Bob in the future. Bob's mother finally agreed to the divorce, but not to leaving the home. She serves everyone at home like a nanny. This was a hard slap in the face to Bob's mother's supporters online back then. People have been criticizing her relentlessly, but her endurance didn't bring her a better life. Before long, that woman started urging Bob's father to transfer the house to her. One late night after securing the property, she abandoned the child. She took off with all their money. By the time they realized what had happened, she was long gone. Now they had to take care of the child while also looking after Bob, who was paralyzed. They truly had the will but not the means. Misfortunes never come singly, as the woman had even mortgaged their house to loan sharks. Now that the house was also taken away, the family had no choice but to return to their hometown in disgrace. My mother patted me on the shoulder, signaling me to look ahead. Two elderly people were hunched over, one holding a child and the other pushing a wheelchair. The wheelchair carrying an emaciated person tipped over on the uphill slope, sending them crashing to the ground. It instantly drew a crowd of onlookers. I squinted for a closer look. Wasn't that my ex-husband's family? There's not a trace left of his former handsome and upright demeanor. Crouching on the ground, he tries to bury his head to escape the gazes of those around him, yet he can't even manage this simple movement. all he can do is whimper and squirm feebly on the ground. Kind-hearted onlookers couldn't bear to watch and quickly stepped forward to help him up as they dragged him to his feet. The skin on his back was exposed, his back was already covered with bedsores, a truly horrifying sight. I couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow in my heart. Let it be. Just live this half-dead existence. Arrived in the South with my parents and had a great time for a while. Only after being reborn and coming back did I truly let go and find peace. My mom sipped coconut juice and sighed about life. From now on, your dad and I won't interfere with your decisions anymore. We just hope you know that no matter what choices you make or what results come from them, we'll always be here to support you. Wow, why are you being so sentimental? My dad patted my head and said, we just don't want you to be affected by all these messy things. I smiled and hugged them. No way. This time I won't be trapped by someone who doesn't love me. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.